Forget the Nine Tails. What if Naruto actually carried the soul of the Monkey King? Imagine the prankster ninja wielding the power of a god who defied the heavens themselves. This isn't just a theory, it's a complete rewrite of shinobi history that explains his boundless energy. Let's unlock the seal on this legend.
The wind screamed past his ears as 7-year-old Naruto Uzumaki plummeted from the fourth Hokage's stone face, his small body tumbling through empty air like a discarded puppet. He'd been up there with spray paint cans, adding his artistic improvements to the monument, whiskers on all the faces, because why should he be the only one cursed with them? The Ambu had spotted him. He'd run. His foot had slipped on wet stone. Now gravity had him in its grip, and the ground rushed up to meet him with the promise of broken bones and maybe worse. But somewhere between the monument and the earth, between one heartbeat and the next, something inside Naruto's skull cracked. Not his bones. Not yet. Something deeper. Something that had been sleeping behind his blue eyes for 7 years, wrapped in chains of mortality and human weakness, waiting for this exact moment of crisis to wake up. The memories hit him like a tidal wave made of fire and gold and impossible centuries. He remembered being born, not from a mother's womb, but from a stone egg on the mountain of flowers and fruit, nourished by heaven and earth until the stone split open and a monkey emerged, already perfect, already aware, already free. He remembered leading the monkey tribes, discovering the water curtain cave behind the waterfall, being crowned the handsome monkey king by his subjects who loved him without question. He remembered seeking immortality, studying under Patriarch Subhoti, learning the 72 transformations, and the cloud somersault that could carry him 33,000 miles in a single leap. He remembered diving into the dragon palace of the Eastern Sea and taking the Ruyi Jingu Bang, the golden-hooped iron cudgel that weighed 17,550 pounds, because the Dragon King was too weak to stop him, and the pillar recognized its true master. He remembered storming heaven itself, fighting the celestial army, declaring himself the great sage equal to heaven and making the Jade Emperor acknowledge it. He remembered eating the peaches of immortality from the Queen Mother's garden, drinking the imperial wine, consuming Laozi's pills of longevity in the Tushita Palace. 7 layers of immortality stacked one atop the other, making him unkillable by any means heaven possessed. He remembered the trigram furnace. 49 days of celestial fire meant to burn him to ash. Instead, the flames had only made him stronger, had given him the fiery golden eyes that could see through any illusion, any lie, any darkness in the 3 realms. He remembered Buddha's palm descending like the sky itself was falling, the 5 elements mountain crushing down on him, pinning him to the earth for 500 years. The seal plastered across the summit. The humiliation of being trapped. He who had shaken the pillars of heaven and made the gods themselves tremble, and he remembered being free again. The journey to the west, fighting demons, protecting the monk, earning his final enlightenment and ascension to Buddhahood itself, becoming victorious fighting Buddha, acknowledged by all creation as a being beyond mortal ken. All of this slammed into Naruto's 7-year-old brain in the space of a falling heartbeat. When he hit the ground, he didn't break. The earth broke. A crater 10 feet wide appeared beneath him, cracks spiderwebbing outward through the packed dirt of the training ground below the monument. Dust exploded upward in a perfect circle. The impact shook buildings 3 blocks away. In the Hokage Tower, Hiruzen Sarutobi's teacup rattled off his desk and shattered on the floor. And from the center of that crater, Naruto Uzumaki stood up laughing. Not the nervous giggle of a child. Not the anxious chuckle of someone who just survived a near-death experience. This was the belly laugh of someone who just remembered the funniest joke in all creation, the joke being that he'd somehow forgotten who he really was for 7 whole years. "I am back!" His voice boomed across the village, deeper and more resonant than any 7-year-olds had any right to be. His eyes snapped open, and they were no longer the blue of Konoha's sky. They burned golden, molten and fierce, with vertical slits like a predator's gaze. The fiery golden eyes that had been forged in divine flame and had stared down the Buddha himself. The great sage has returned to this mortal plane. He reached up and pulled something from behind his ear, a movement so natural it might as well have been scratching an itch. His fingers closed around what looked like a needle, thin and golden and utterly unremarkable. He held it before him, and his grin stretched wider. "Ruyi Jingu Bang," he whispered, and the affection in his voice was the kind reserved for old friends. "Did you miss me, old partner?" The needle pulsed in response, as if it too had been waiting for this moment. "Then let's remind this world what we can do. Grow." The transformation was instantaneous. The needle expanded in his grip, thickening and lengthening, golden bands appearing around crimson iron as it became a staff as tall as Naruto himself, then taller still. He spun it with one hand. 17,550 pounds of divine metal moving like it weighed nothing at all. And the wind from its rotation kicked up a miniature cyclone that scattered the dust and made nearby trees bend away as if fleeing. He planted one end of the staff on the ground and vaulted onto it, standing on the iron with his arms crossed, his wild blonde hair whipping around his face as a golden cloud. His cloud, made of solidified mist and ancient magic, materialized beneath the staff and lifted him into the air. From his new vantage point 15 feet up, he surveyed the village of Konohagakure with eyes that had once gazed upon the palaces of heaven and found them lacking. "So this is where I've been hiding?" He scratched his head with his free hand, and even that gesture was different now. More confident, more casual, touched with the easy arrogance of someone who'd beaten the best fighters in 3 realms and had the scars to prove it. Not bad, not great, definitely not as impressive as the mountain of flowers and fruit, but I've worked with worse. He could see everything now. His fiery golden eyes cut through walls and distance like they were made of paper. He saw the Anbu converging on his position, their chakra signatures blazing like little campfires in his enhanced vision. He saw the Hokage in his tower, already standing, already reaching for his battle gear despite his age. He saw the civilians fleeing from the shaking ground, their lives and fears and little dreams spread out before him like an open book. And he saw himself, not the false memories of Naruto the orphan, Naruto the failure, Naruto the demon container, but his true self reflected in every surface, every window, every puddle. Son Wukong, the Monkey King, the great sage equal to heaven, victorious fighting Buddha, wearing the skin of a 7-year-old human boy with whiskers on his cheeks and the 9-tailed fox sealed in his gut. Oh, that's what that presence is. He pressed a hand to his stomach, and his fiery golden eyes turned inward, piercing through flesh and bone and chakra coils to see the massive cage and the even more massive fox sealed behind it. Well, looks like I've got a roommate. But that could wait. First, he had visitors. The Anbu arrived in a flutter of displaced air, 6 of them landing in a loose circle around his floating position. They wore their animal masks and their kill-ready stances, hands on weapons, chakra primed for violence. The one with the dog mask spoke first, his voice carefully neutral despite the tension radiating from every line of his body. "Naruto Uzumaki, you will descend immediately and come with us for medical evaluation. Your fall?" "I didn't fall," Naruto interrupted, and his voice was cheerful in the way a tiger's purr is cheerful right before it bites. "I flew, or plummeted, I guess, depending on your definition. But I'm fine, as you can clearly see." He gestured at himself with the Ruyi Jingu Bang, the staff's weight not even making his arm dip. "Better than fine, actually. I'm fantastic. I'm enlightened. He paused, considering. "Actually, I'm tired. Even immortals need naps after remembering 500 years of being crushed under a mountain. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go find somewhere comfortable to sleep, and tomorrow, after I've rested, we can all sit down and have a nice chat about what I am and what that means for everyone involved. Sound good?" "That's not." Dog Mask started. Naruto plucked a single hair from his head. The Anbu tensed, which was adorable. They thought he was going to attack. Instead, he held the hair between his thumb and forefinger, brought it to his lips, and blew. The hair shimmered, multiplied, expanded, and transformed mid-air into a complete sleeping bag, pillow included, that landed in his free arm with a soft whoomph. "Hair clone technique," Naruto said pleasantly, tucking the sleeping bag under one arm while using the Ruyi Jingu Bang as a walking stick. despite the fact he was still standing on a cloud 15 feet up. One of my 72 transformations. I can turn my hair into anything. Objects, animals, people, clones that actually think and act independently. Real handy for multitasking. This one's just a bedroll because I'm exhausted, but I could make an army if I felt like it. Keep that in mind. Cat Mask stepped forward, her feminine build and fighting stance marking her as one of the more aggressive Anbu. You're not going anywhere until what? Naruto's golden eyes fixed on her, and she flinched. The weight of his gaze was like having a mountain dropped on her shoulders. Until you stop me? I was sealed under 5 Elements Mountain by Buddha's palm, and I still got free. You really think you can hold me? He didn't wait for an answer. He simply vanished, and the cloud went with him. It wasn't a body flicker. It wasn't a teleportation jutsu. One moment he was there, the next he was gone, and the wind of his departure hit the Anbu like a physical slap. By the time they recovered and expanded their senses to search for him, he was already 3 miles away, having used the cloud somersault to cross the distance in a single bound of golden mist. He found a nice tree in Training Ground 44, the Forest of Death, though with his power it was more like the Forest of Mild Inconvenience, and settled onto a thick branch with his new sleeping bag. The Ruyi Jingu Bang shrank back down to needle size and tucked itself behind his ear where it belonged. His golden eyes faded to blue, though the power behind them remained. 500 years, he muttered to himself as sleep tugged at his consciousness. 500 years trapped, and then however long dead or in the cycle of rebirth, and now 7 years as a clueless brat. That's, what, minimum 507 years since I last had a proper fight? No wonder I'm rusty. He yawned, and for just a moment, his canines seemed longer, sharper, more like the fangs of the Monkey King he truly was. Tomorrow, he promised the world as his eyes drifted closed. Tomorrow, I'll start figuring out this ninja business and see if anyone in this realm is worth fighting. But tonight, old son needs his rest. Within seconds, he was snoring, and if the massive trees around him seemed to lean away, giving him space, as if even the Forest of Death recognized something in him that commanded respect and distance, well, that was probably just coincidence. Probably. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, the professor, the god of shinobi, stood at the edge of the crater where Naruto had landed and felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Uncertainty. He'd seen the boy fall. The Anbu had reported it immediately. Target has lost footing, falling from approximately 100 meters. Impact imminent. He'd been preparing to send medical teams to perform damage control, to figure out how to explain to the village why their Jinchūriki had survived what should have been a fatal fall. But this crater spoke of impact, yes, but not of injury. The way the earth had compressed, the perfect circle of destruction, the fact that witnesses reported seeing the boy stand up laughing before summoning some kind of weapon from nowhere and flying away on a golden cloud. Hokage-sama. Dog Mask, Kakashi Hatake, though his identity was supposed to be secret, landed beside him. We've lost him. He used some kind of movement technique I've never seen. No chakra signature, no hand seals, just gone. One of the Anbu with sensory skills said his chakra felt wrong. Not like the Nine Tails, like something older. Older, Hiruzen repeated, and the word tasted like ash on his tongue. He'd known Naruto his entire life, had watched over him from a distance, had made sure he had food and shelter even when the villagers wouldn't give the boy the time of day. He'd seen the loneliness, the desperate need for acknowledgement, the way Naruto pulled pranks just to be noticed by someone, anyone. That boy, that sad little child, was who he'd expected to find at the bottom of this crater, not whatever had looked at his Anbu with golden eyes and spoke of Buddhas and mountains and immortality. Double the watch on him, Hiruzen ordered, but maintain distance. Do not engage unless he becomes a threat to the village. I need to consult the archives. Sir, what are we looking for? Hiruzen stared at the crater, at the cracks spreading from it, at the sheer wrongness of a 7-year-old child surviving this fall without the Nine Tails' intervention, because he checked and Kurama's chakra hadn't been involved at all. Legends, he said quietly. I'm looking for legends. Inside his mindscape, In the sewer-like corridors that housed the seal, Kurama the nine-tailed fox paced behind his cage with his tails lashing like whips. Something was wrong. He'd felt it the moment his container hit the ground. A presence had woken up inside the boy, something vast and ancient, and utterly unconcerned with the cage that held Kurama. The seal hadn't broken, he'd checked, but it also didn't seem to matter anymore. And then the brat had looked inward. Just for a second, just a glance, but those golden eyes had pierced through the seal like it was tissue paper and had seen Kurama in his entirety, had measured him, had dismissed him. Kurama, who had leveled mountains and boiled oceans, who had been sealed by the god of shinobi himself, and had taken two of the strongest sealing techniques in history to contain, had been looked at like he was a pet. "What are you?" He snarled at the empty air, at the absence where his container's consciousness usually resided. The only answer was silence, and the faint echo of laughter that might have been imagination. Kurama's tails lashed faster. For the first time since his sealing, he felt something that wasn't rage or hatred or burning need for freedom. He felt nervous. Morning came to Konoha with golden light and the songs of birds and a very grumpy 7-year-old immortal climbing down from his tree with a yawn that showed more teeth than should have been possible. Naruto stretched, his joints popping, and the sleeping bag behind him shimmered and transformed back into a single hair that he casually stuck back on his head. The hair clone technique was convenient like that. Anything he made could return to its original form whenever he wanted. "Okay," he said to the forest around him. "First order of business, food. Old son is starving. Second order, figure out what the locals consider power in this realm and see if any of them are worth my time. Third, probably deal with the cranky fox in my stomach because I can hear him pacing around down there and it's getting annoying." He reached behind his ear and pulled out the Ruyi Jingu Bang, letting it expand to walking staff size. The weight of it was comforting, familiar, like shaking hands with an old friend after centuries apart. "Fourth," he added, grinning, "we're gonna have so much fun." The cloud somersault carried him back toward the village proper in a single leap, golden mist trailing behind him like a comet's tail. He landed on a rooftop near the marketplace, startling a cat that yowled and fled, and dropped to the street below with easy grace. The morning crowd parted around him instinctively, though most of them didn't seem to recognize him yet. Without his orange jumpsuit and with his posture completely different, confident instead of hunched, alert instead of sullen, he was just another blonde kid with a stick. Until he walked up to Ichiraku Ramen. Tochi, the owner, looked up from his prep work and blinked. "Naruto, is that you? You look different." "Do I?" Naruto hopped onto a stool and planted his staff against the counter. "I feel different. I feel great, actually. Best sleep I've had in centuries. I'll take 20 bowls of miso ramen, extra pork, and keep them coming until I say stop." Tucci's eyebrows climbed toward his hairline. 20 bowls? Naruto, I know you love ramen, but I just remembered I'm an immortal being who once ate all the peaches of immortality in the Queen Mother's garden in a single sitting, Naruto said cheerfully. 20 bowls is me showing restraint. Now come on, old man. I'm starving. The great sage needs his breakfast. Something in his tone, or maybe his eyes, which flickered gold for just an instant, convinced Tochi to stop arguing and start cooking. Ayame, Tochi's daughter, came out from the back and froze when she saw Naruto. Your hair is different, and you're sitting up straight. Did something happen? You could say that. Naruto accepted the first bowl with both hands and brought it to his lips. The moment the broth touched his tongue, his eyes widened. Oh, okay, maybe this mortal realm isn't completely terrible. This is good. He tilted the bowl back and drained it in 4 seconds flat, then set it down with a satisfied sigh. Another. Bowl number 2 arrived, gone in 5 seconds. Bowl 3, 4 seconds. By bowl 7, a small crowd had gathered to watch the spectacle. By bowl 15, even Anbu had shown up, lurking on nearby rooftops, their masked faces turned toward the impossible sight of a 7-year-old child eating enough food to feed a family for a week. Naruto noticed them, of course. His fiery golden eyes saw them as clearly as if they were standing in front of him. But he ignored them in favor of bowl number 19 because priorities. So, Aime said carefully, setting down bowl 20, "What's with the stick?" Naruto glanced at the Ruyi Jingu Bang, which was currently propped against the counter in its staff form. This is my partner, the compliant golden hooped rod. Weighs 17,550 pounds, but for me, it's light as a feather. It can shrink to the size of a needle or grow large enough to support the sky. It's also indestructible and responds to my will alone. He said this with the same casual tone someone might use to describe their favorite kunai. Tochi and Ayame exchanged glances. 17,000 pounds, Tochi repeated. Give or take. Naruto finished bowl 20 and set it down with a satisfied pat to his stomach. Okay, that's better. I'll be back for lunch. Put it on my tab. You don't have a tab, Ayame said weakly. I do now. Naruto grabbed his staff and it shrank down to needle size in his grip. He tucked it behind his ear, tossed some money on the counter where he'd gotten it, neither of them could say, and hopped off the stool. Thanks for the meal. Best ramen in 3 realms, easily. He walked out into the street, and the crowd scattered before him like leaves before wind. Behind him, Tochi and Ayame stood in silence for a long moment. That wasn't Naruto, Ayame finally said. That was his body, Tochi agreed. But you're right, that wasn't the boy we know. Should we tell someone? Tochi looked at the stack of 20 empty bowls. I think someone already knows. The Anbu briefing room was crowded with masked operatives, all of them standing at attention as Hiruzen entered with a scroll under one arm and exhaustion in every line of his face. He'd been up all night reading, cross-referencing, comparing notes from every culture and country whose records Konoha possessed. And he'd found it, hidden in a text about the Western lands, about the myths and legends that had filtered into the elemental nations from the distant countries beyond the great deserts, the Monkey King, Sun Wukong, the great sage, equal to heaven, born from stone, achieved immortality 7 times over, fought the armies of heaven, was sealed under a mountain for 500 years, accompanied a monk on a legendary journey, became a Buddha. The parallels were impossible to ignore. If what I suspect is true, Hiruzen said, his voice heavy, then Naruto Uzumaki is no longer just a Jinchūriki. He is, or believes himself to be, the reincarnation of one of the most powerful beings in myth, a trickster god, a warrior who fought the divine and won. Silence filled the room. Finally, Dog Mask, Kakashi spoke up. Hokage-sama, even if he believes this, surely it's just a delusion brought on by trauma from the fall. He's still just a 7-year-old boy with the 9 tails sealed inside him. Then explain the crater, Cat Mask countered. Explain the weapon. Explain how he disappeared without using chakra. Explain, Hiruzen added quietly, how he just ate 20 bowls of ramen and is currently walking through the village toward the academy as if nothing unusual has happened. My observers report that his chakra levels are stable, not increased, not fluctuating, just there, as if eating enough food for 20 people didn't affect him at all. More silence. What are your orders? Someone asked. Hiruzen set the scroll on the table. Watch him. Document everything. Do not engage unless he threatens civilians. And find me every legend, every myth, every story about the Monkey King you can. If Naruto truly is what he claims, he paused, then we need to understand what we're dealing with, because gods and ninjas don't play by the same rules. The academy was in session when Naruto walked through the gates, his hands in his pockets and a smile on his face that was all teeth. He could have used the cloud somersault to arrive instantly. But where was the fun in that? Besides, walking gave us his fiery golden eyes to scan the village, to see the chakra networks of every person he passed, to identify who was strong and who was weak and who might be interesting. Most of them were weak, civilians with barely a flicker of chakra, low-ranked ninja with pathetic reserves. Even the jonin he spotted, and there were several tracking him from the rooftops, had chakra that looked like candles compared to the bonfire that was his own power, and none of them compared to the sun that was the 9 tails in his gut. He'd have to deal with that soon. But first, school. He walked into his classroom 15 minutes late, interrupting Iruka-sensei mid-lecture about the history of the 3rd Hokage's reign. Every head in the room turned toward him, and he could feel the shock rippling through the students, because he looked different. He stood different. He was different. Iruka's expression cycled through surprise, confusion, and finally concern. Naruto? We heard you had an accident yesterday. Are you? I'm fine, Iruka-sensei. Naruto walked to his usual seat at the back of the room, ignoring the whispers that followed him. Better than fine. I'm enlightened. Literally achieved Buddhahood in a past life, so yeah, I'd say I'm doing pretty well. The whispers turned into stunned silence. Iruka's eye twitched. Naruto, this isn't the time for jokes. Who's joking? Naruto sat down, leaned back in his chair, and propped his feet on the desk in front of him, earning a glare from Sakura Haruno, who sat one row ahead. I'm the reincarnation of Sun Wukong, the great sage equal to heaven. Born from stone, achieved 7 layers of immortality, fought all of heaven's armies and won, got sealed under a mountain by Buddha, and eventually became a Buddha myself. Pretty impressive resume, right? The entire class stared at him like he'd grown a second head. Kiba and Inuzuka barked a laugh. You're insane. You fell on your head and went crazy. Did I? Naruto's eyes flickered gold for just an instant, and Kiba's laughter died in his throat. Akamaru, the puppy on Kiba's head, whimpered and tried to burrow into his owner's hair. Or did I finally remember who I've always been? Iruka slammed his hand on his desk, the sound like a gunshot. Enough. Naruto, I don't know what happened to you yesterday, but you will show respect in my classroom or you'll be sent to the Hokage's office. Naruto looked at him, really looked at him with those golden eyes that saw truth and lies and the chakra flowing through every person in the room. He saw Iruka's genuine concern, the worry that warred with frustration, the care hidden beneath the stern teacher act, and something in him softened. You're a good man, Iruka, he said, and his voice was gentle now, without mockery. You've always been decent to me, even when the rest of the village wasn't. So out of respect for you, I'll behave. Look, but understand this. I'm not the same kid I was 2 days ago. I'm not going to fail your tests anymore. I'm not going to beg for attention. I'm not going to hide what I am. He smiled, and it was sharp and dangerous and completely sincere. The great sage is back, and this time, no mountain is going to hold me down. The rest of the school day was a study in contrasts. Naruto slept through most of the lectures, his feet still on the desk, occasionally snoring loud enough to make other students jump. But when Iruka called on him, partly to prove he wasn't paying attention, partly out of genuine curiosity about this new version of his most troublesome student, Naruto answered every question perfectly. History? He recited dates and events with the bored tone of someone who lived through more significant history than anything the elemental nations could offer. Mathematics? He solved complex equations in his head faster than the supposed genius Sasuke Uchiha could write them down. Chakra theory? He explained the nature of chakra flow with such depth and precision that Iruka found himself taking notes on his own subject. During taijutsu practice, Naruto didn't participate. He sat cross-legged on the sidelines, spinning the Ruyi Jingu Bang in its needle form between his fingers while watching his classmates spar. Naruto, Iruka called out, you need to practice too. I've had 500 years to practice, Naruto called back. I think I'm good. Get on the mat. Naruto sighed, stood and walked onto the sparring mat where Sasuke Uchiha was waiting. The Uchiha heir had apparently volunteered to put the dead last in his place, which would have been more intimidating if Naruto hadn't stared down the 4 heavenly kings and come out victorious. Ready to lose, loser? Sasuke said, dropping into his clan's fighting stance. Naruto yawned. Kid, I fought Erlang Shen, the greatest warrior god in heaven, and we went 300 rounds before Buddha had to step in. You're what, 7? You haven't even unlocked your Sharingan yet. This isn't going to be a fight. Sasuke's face flushed with anger. Big words from the dead last. Hajime, Iruka called. Sasuke lunged forward with a textbook perfect palm strike aimed at Naruto's chest. Naruto didn't move. The palm strike connected and Sasuke screamed. It was like hitting a stone wall. No, worse than stone. Stone would have at least moved a little. Naruto stood there completely unmoved, while Sasuke clutched his wrist and stumbled backward with tears in his eyes. Indestructible Vajra body, Naruto said conversationally. I spent 49 days in Laozi's trigram furnace being burned by divine flames. All it did was make my body indestructible and give me these neat golden eyes. Your punch? That was like a mosquito bite. Actually, no. Mosquito bites at least itch. That was nothing. He reached out, moving so fast that Sasuke couldn't react, and flicked the Uchiha's forehead, Sasuke flew backward, tumbling across the mat and slamming into the wall hard enough to crack it. He slumped to the ground, unconscious. The entire class went silent. Naruto turned to Iruka and shrugged. "You told me to spar. I sparred. Not my fault. The Uchiha has a glass jaw." Iruka's mouth opened and closed several times before he managed to speak. "Medical. Someone get medical." The Hokage's office, an hour later, was tense enough to cut with a kunai. Hiruzen sat behind his desk, looking at Naruto, who sat cross-legged in the chair across from him, completely at ease despite the 4 Anbu lurking in the corners of the room. "You hospitalized Sasuke Uchiha," Hiruzen said. "He'll be fine," Naruto replied. "I held back. If I hadn't, that flick would have taken his head off." "That's not reassuring, Naruto." "Wasn't trying to be reassuring." Naruto leaned back in his chair. "Old man, let's cut to the chase. You've been digging through your archives, right? Trying to figure out what I am? Find anything interesting?" Hiruzen's expression didn't change, but his chakra flickered, a tell that Naruto's golden eyes caught immediately. "I found legends," the Hokage admitted. "Stories about a monkey king who fought gods. And I want to know if you truly believe you're his reincarnation, or if you're suffering from some kind of mental break brought on by trauma." Naruto laughed. "Mental break? Old man, I'm the sanest I've been in centuries. Want proof?" He reached behind his ear and pulled out the needle. "Ruyi Jingu Bang! Grow!" The staff expanded in an instant, shooting upward and sideways, filling the entire office. It punched through the ceiling, shattered a window, knocked over bookshelves, and sent the Anbu scrambling to avoid being crushed. In 3 seconds, the Hokage's office was a disaster zone with a massive golden staff embedded through it like a spear through paper. Naruto, still sitting calmly in his chair, smiled up at Hiruzen through the chaos. "That enough proof for you?" Hiruzen, to his credit, hadn't moved. He sat in his chair, the staff having missed him by inches, and looked at Naruto with an expression that might have been resignation. "Shrink it," he said quietly. "Shrink." The staff collapsed back to needle size in an instant, leaving behind the destruction but removing the weapon itself. Naruto tucked it behind his ear. "Look," Naruto said, his tone more serious now. "I know this is weird. Trust me, I'm still processing it myself. One day I'm a sad little kid who just wants someone to notice him. The next I remember being a god who made heaven itself bow. It's a lot. But here's the thing, old man. I'm not your enemy. Never was, never will be. This village, these people, they're under my protection now, whether they want it or not. Because that's what the great sage does. He protects his people. Even the people who hate you?" Hiruzen asked quietly. "Especially them." Naruto's smile turned sharp. "Because I'm better than them. I've achieved enlightenment. I've become a Buddha. I know that hate is just fear wearing a mask, and fear is just ignorance looking for a target. So yeah, I'll protect them. All of them. Even the ones who spit when I walk by." Hiruzen studied him for a long moment, and when he spoke, his voice was heavy with the weight of his years. "What do you want, Naruto?" "Same thing I've always wanted." Naruto stood, and despite his small size, despite his 7-year-old body, he seemed to fill the room with his presence. Acknowledgement, respect, to be seen for who I really am. Difference is, now I have the power to make people see, and if they don't like what they see, his eyes flashed gold. "That's their problem, not mine." He walked toward the door, then paused and looked back. "Oh, and old man, you might want to send someone to fix your ceiling. The Anbu are getting rained on." He left, and in the silence that followed, one of the Anbu spoke up hesitantly. "Hokage-sama, what do we do?" Hiruzen looked at the hole in his ceiling, at the broken window, at the scattered papers and toppled furniture that 17,000 pounds of divine iron had caused. "We adapt," he said finally, "because I don't think we have any other choice." That night, Naruto decided it was time to have a conversation with his roommate. He sat cross-legged on his bed, in an actual apartment now, not the drafty studio the village had stuck him in before, because once he'd remembered who he was, finding a better place had been as simple as transforming into the landlord and signing his own lease, and closed his eyes. His consciousness sank inward, through layers of chakra and seal work, until he stood in the sewer-like corridors of his mindscape. The walls dripped, the pipes groaned. And at the end of the longest corridor, behind bars the size of tree trunks and a seal paper that glowed with golden light, the nine-tailed fox waited. Kurama was enormous. Even crouched behind the cage, he towered over Naruto's small form, his 9 tails lashing behind him like whips made of living chakra. His eyes burned with hatred that had festered for 7 years, his fangs bared in a permanent snarl. Finally decided to visit, did you? Kurama's voice was an earthquake-given sound. Come to beg your prisoner for power like all the others? Naruto looked up at the fox and tilted his head. You know, I fought the Dragon Kings once, all 4 of them. They thought they were untouchable because they controlled the seas. Turns out, they control nothing when someone stronger comes along and takes what they want. He walked forward until he was standing directly in front of the bars. I took the Ruyi Jingu Bang from Aoguang's treasury because it was mine by right. It recognized me as its true master. I made the Dragon Kings bow. I made them kneel. And they were gods of the ocean, kid. You're just a really big fox with an attitude problem. Kurama's tails lashed faster, his chakra flaring. You dare. Naruto reached through the bars. The cage should have stopped him. The seal should have activated, should have repelled him, should have done something. But the bars bent like rubber under his touch. The seal flickered and dimmed, and Naruto's small hand closed around one of Kurama's massive whiskers. The fox froze. Here's how this is going to work, Naruto said, his voice pleasant but his eyes burning gold even in the dim light of the mindscape. You're stuck with me. I'm stuck with you. We can either fight each other for the rest of however long this body lasts, or we can work together and both benefit. I'm leaning toward option 2, because even though I'm immortal in 7 different ways, having a massive chakra battery as a backup sounds pretty convenient. Kurama tried to pull away, but Naruto's grip was iron. Literally, his Vajra body extended even into his mindscape, making him unmovable when he chose to be. I am the 9-tailed demon fox, Kurama roared. I am hatred given form. I am... Loud, Naruto interrupted. Really, really loud. Also kind of repetitive. Look, Kurama, can I call you Kurama? I'm gonna call you Kurama. I'm not asking for your friendship. I'm not asking for your love. I'm just asking you to not be a pain in my ass while I figure out what I'm doing in this second life. I am not your pet. Correct. You're my partner. Naruto let go of the whisker and stepped back. Big difference. A pet obeys without question. A partner works alongside you because it benefits both parties. So here's my offer. You give me access to your chakra when I need it, and in exchange, I'll let you see the outside world through my eyes. I'll take you places, show you things, maybe even let you fight directly if the situation calls for it. Otherwise, you can sit in here and brood for another 7 years while I forget you exist. He turned to walk away. Wait, Kurama said, and his voice was different now. Still angry, still bitter, but curious. You're not afraid of me. Why would I be? I've fought things scarier than you. Naruto glanced back. Don't take it personally. It's just facts. The Celestial Army had 100,000 immortal warriors, and I sent them running. You're strong, sure, but you're not that strong. I destroyed mountains. I leveled villages. I got sealed by 2 different humans, Naruto finished. Which means humans can beat you. And I'm not human. Not anymore. Not really. I'm Son Wukong wearing a human body like a coat. So again, why would I be afraid? Silence stretched between them. Finally, Kurama spoke, and his voice was quiet. What are you? I'm the great sage equal to heaven, Naruto said simply. And if you're smart, you'll recognize that having me as a partner is better than having me as a warden. Your choice, Fox. He walked away, letting his consciousness rise back up through the layers until he sat on his bed again, eyes opening to the darkness of his apartment. Behind him, in the mindscape, Kurama stared at the place where the brat had been standing and felt something he hadn't felt in a very long time. Interest. The years between 7 and 12 were a blur of academy days, training sessions, and slowly building reputation. Naruto didn't hide his power. Why would he? He'd spent 500 years under a mountain being forced to hide, to wait, to be patient. This life, he decided, would be different. This life, he would be seen. He graduated from the academy at the top of his class, not through studying, but through casual demonstrations of power that made the instructors question their entire understanding of what was possible. When they tested taijutsu, He moved so fast that Jonin proctors couldn't track him. When they tested ninjutsu, he didn't use hand seals. He just transformed, using his 72 earthly transformations to become whatever the test required. A shuriken? Done. A demon wind shuriken? Easy. The Hokage himself? He did it so perfectly that the Anbu stationed in the rafters actually reached for their weapons before realizing it was just Naruto showing off. When they tested genjutsu, he laughed and said, "Illusions don't work on the fiery golden eyes," and proved it by walking through every genjutsu trap they set without even slowing down. The other students watched him with a mixture of awe, fear, and resentment. Sasuke Uchiha especially seemed to take Naruto's existence as a personal insult. The Uchiha had been top of the class before Naruto's awakening, the prodigy everyone looked up to. Now he was just another student in the shadow of something incomprehensible. Their rivalry, such as it was, came to a head during the graduation exam. "Naruto Uzumaki," Iruka called out. "You're up. Perform a transformation jutsu." Naruto yawned and stood from his seat. "Any particular target, sensei?" "Surprise me." "Bad idea, but okay." Naruto closed his eyes, and when he opened them, they were molten gold. His body shimmered, shifted, and changed. Not with a puff of smoke like standard transformation jutsu, but with the fluidity of water pouring into a new container. When the transformation completed, a perfect copy of Iruka stood where Naruto had been. But not just any copy, this copy was real. It had weight, substance, even the same chakra signature. The transformation was so perfect that even the Hokage, watching through his crystal ball from his office, couldn't tell the difference. "How's this?" Naruto asked in Iruka's voice, even matching the teacher's speech patterns perfectly. Iruka stared at himself. That's not a transformation jutsu. That's something else. 72 earthly transformations," Naruto explained, and his form rippled again. This time he became a perfect copy of Sasuke, complete with the Uchiha's trademark scowl. "I can become anyone, anything, any size. Animals, people, objects. If I can imagine it, I can become it. And unlike your transformation jutsu, mine are real physical changes. All the strengths, all the abilities, everything." He transformed back to his own form, grinning. "Pass? Pass," Iruka said weakly, making a note on his clipboard with shaking hands. Sasuke, watching from his seat, clenched his fists hard enough to draw blood from his palms. Team assignments came on a clear spring day when Naruto was 12 years old. He sat in the academy classroom, surrounded by students who'd grown used to his presence but never quite comfortable with it, and waited for Iruka to announce who he'd be stuck with for the foreseeable future. "Team 7, Iruka called out. "Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno. Your Jonin instructor will be Kakashi Hatake." Naruto's golden eyes flickered with interest. The copy ninja. The man with the Sharingan who wasn't an Uchiha. He'd heard stories, over 1,000 jutsu copied, former Anbu captain, son of the White Fang. "Finally," he muttered, "someone who might be interesting." Beside him, Sasuke stiffened. "I'm not working with you." "Yeah, you are." Naruto didn't even look at him. "Because I'm the best chance you have of getting stronger, Uchiha. You want revenge on your brother? You'll need to be a hell of a lot better than you are now. Stick with me, and maybe you'll survive meeting him." "Though you don't know anything about me or my brother." "I know your brother killed your entire clan except you," Naruto said, and his voice was cold enough to make Sasuke flinch. "I know he's part of an organization called Akatsuki. I know he's stronger than you can imagine, and I know that if you charge in now, you'll die screaming and accomplish nothing." Sasuke's eyes widened. "How do you?" Fiery golden eyes. Naruto tapped the corner of his eye. "I see truth. I see through lies. I see the chakra signatures of everyone in this village, and your brother's signature is burned into your own like a brand. He marked you, Sasuke, and until you're strong enough to break that mark, you're just dancing on his strings." For a long moment, Sasuke said nothing. Then quietly, "Can you make me stronger?" "I can show you the path," Naruto replied. "Walking it is up to you." Kakashi Hatake arrived 3 hours late to meet his new Genin team, expecting to find them angry, frustrated, or already gone. What he found instead was Sakura reading a book, Sasuke meditating in the corner, and Naruto floating cross-legged on a golden cloud 3 feet off the ground, tossing the Ruyi Jingu Bang from hand to hand in its staff form like it weighed nothing. "Yo," Kakashi said with his usual lazy wave. "Sorry I'm late. A black cat crossed my path, so... You were at the memorial stone, Naruto interrupted, his eyes still closed. You go there every morning. It's where your teammates are carved. Obito Uchiha and Rin Nohara. You blame yourself for their deaths even though both of them made their own choices. Kakashi froze. Naruto opened his eyes, golden and knowing. I can see the guilt radiating off you like heat copy, ninja. It's suffocating. If you're going to be our sensei, you might want to deal with that first. How did you? Truth-seeing eyes. I told you, I see everything. Naruto hopped off his cloud and landed lightly on the ground, the cloud dissipating behind him. Now, are we doing this test, or are we going to stand around all day? Kakashi recovered his composure with visible effort. Test, right? Meet me at Training Ground 3 in 30 minutes. Don't be late. He vanished in a swirl of leaves. Naruto grinned. I like him. He's going to be fun to break. Training Ground 3 was a clearing surrounded by logs used for target practice, with 3 posts in the center where Kakashi had tied 3 bells to his waist. The rules are simple, Kakashi explained, holding up the bells. Your goal is to take these bells from me before noon. Anyone who doesn't get a bell goes back to the academy. There are only 2 bells, which means at least one of you will fail. Or, Naruto said, leaning against one of the posts with his arms crossed, we could recognize that this is a teamwork test disguised as a competition, work together to take the bells, and all pass. Kakashi's visible eye widened slightly. Did I ruin your test? Naruto grinned. Sorry, sensei. When you've lived as long as I have, you see the same tricks over and over. The teamwork test is a classic. Sasuke Sakura, he wants us to work together instead of fighting each other. The bells are a red herring. He's right, Kakashi admitted after a moment. But knowing the trick doesn't mean you can execute it. Show me what you've got, Team 7. Gladly. Naruto reached behind his ear and pulled out his needle. Ruyi Jingu Bang. Grow! The staff expanded to its full size in his hands, and he spun it once before planting it in the ground. Sasuke, left flank. Sakura, support. I'll take point. I don't take orders from you, Sasuke growled. Then you'll fail, Naruto said simply. Your choice. For a moment, it looked like Sasuke would argue. Then he moved left, Sharingan already activated. He'd unlocked it a year ago during a training accident that had nearly killed another student, and Sakura positioned herself behind them both. Begin, Kakashi called. Naruto vanished. He didn't use body flicker. He used the cloud somersault, covering the 30 feet between himself and Kakashi in a single leap of golden mist. Kakashi's Sharingan tracked the movement, but his body couldn't react fast enough. The Ruyi Jingu Bang came down like the fist of an angry god. Kakashi substituted with a log at the last second, and the staff annihilated the training post, reducing it to splinters and leaving a crater where it had been standing. Holy! Kakashi appeared on a tree branch 20 feet away, his visible eye wide. How much does that thing weigh? 17,550 pounds. Naruto called cheerfully, already spinning for another strike. Extend! The staff shot forward like a spear, growing to 3 times its length in an instant. Kakashi dodged, but the extended staff caught his bells and ripped them from his waist, sending them flying toward where Sasuke was waiting. The Uchiha caught them both, his Sharingan having predicted their trajectory. Got them, Sasuke said, sounding shocked despite himself. Naruto shrunk his staff back to normal size and grinned. Teamwork. Told you it works. Kakashi dropped from his tree branch and landed in front of them, and despite the situation, he was smiling beneath his mask. You pass, he said, all 3 of you. But Naruto, yeah? What are you? Naruto's grin widened, his eyes flashing gold. I'm the great sage equal to heaven, sensei, and you're about to find out what that means. Their first real mission came 2 weeks later, after a string of D ranks that Naruto completed by transforming into various animals and doing the work in a fraction of the time. Catching a cat, become a dog and track it by scent. Painting a fence, create a dozen hair clones and finish it in minutes. Weeding a garden, transform into a giant and pull up entire sections at once. The Hokage, watching through mission reports, was starting to understand why Son Wukong had been called the Havoc in Heaven. The Monkey King hadn't been malicious. He'd just been too powerful and too clever to follow rules designed for normal beings. Naruto was the same. Not evil, not even particularly troublesome. just too much for the system to handle. So Hiruzen did what seemed logical. He sent Team 7 somewhere. Their skills would be useful and their tendency toward chaos could be pointed at an actual enemy. The Land of Waves, Hiruzen explained, looking at the tired man who stood in his office. Your client is Tazuna, a bridge builder who needs protection on his way home, and while he completes his work, it should be a simple C-rank mission. Should be? Naruto repeated, his golden eyes fixed on Tazuna with an intensity that made the old drunk squirm. Will be, Hiruzen corrected. Team 7, you leave at dawn. Later, as they prepared their gear, Kakashi pulled Naruto aside. You saw something when you looked at Tazuna, the Jonin said quietly. What was it? He's lying, Naruto replied. Not about needing protection, but about the level of threat. This isn't a C-rank mission. Someone's after him, and that someone is dangerous enough that he can't afford to pay for proper protection. He's hoping we'll be in too deep to back out once we figure it out. Should I report this? No. Naruto's smile was sharp. Let's see where this goes. Been a while since I had a proper fight. The journey to the Land of Waves started quietly enough. Too quietly. Naruto's fiery golden eyes caught the ambush before it happened, 2 chakra signatures hiding in a puddle on the road ahead, despite the fact that it hadn't rained in days. Kakashi-sensei, he said conversationally. There are 2 ninja hiding in that puddle up ahead, Chunin level by the feel of their chakra. Probably demon brothers from the mist, given the water-based hiding technique. They'll attack as soon as we pass. Kakashi, to his credit, didn't break stride. Can you handle it? Please, I fought the Water Dragon King. These guys are tadpoles. They walked past the puddle. The demon brothers erupted from the water, their chain connecting their gauntlets, their killing intent sharp enough to make Sakura freeze, and Sasuke reached for his kunai. Naruto yawned and held out one hand. Ruyi Jingu Bang! Grow! The staff expanded from behind his ear directly into his palm, and he swung it in a horizontal arc that caught both demon brothers in the chest before they traveled 3 feet from their puddle. The impact sent them flying backward like baseballs struck by a bat. They crashed through 3 trees before finally hitting the ground 50 meters away, unconscious and probably with every rib broken. Oops, Naruto said, shrinking his staff back to needle size. Was I supposed to capture them alive? My bad. Kakashi stared at the destruction. That was efficient, Naruto offered. Terrifying, Sakura whispered. Little bit of both, Sasuke muttered to Tazuna, who'd been expecting a fight where he had to play the helpless client, just stared at the 12-year-old who'd casually destroyed 2 Chunin-level threats like swatting flies. What? What are you? He asked. I'm old son, Naruto replied cheerfully. And you're lucky I'm on your side. Now, about those lies you told the Hokage regarding the mission difficulty, we're going to have a conversation about that once we reach your village. But first, he turned to face the river that marked the border to the Land of Waves, his golden eyes narrowing. There's someone much stronger coming, someone who thinks they can kill us. How exciting! From the mist that rolled across the water, a massive sword materialized first, followed by the man wielding it. Momochi Zabuza, demon of the hidden mist, stood on the water's surface with his Kubikiri Bocho resting on his shoulder and murder in his eyes. Kakashi Hatake, Zabuza said, his voice a low rumble. The copy ninja, I'm impressed they sent someone of your caliber for what was supposed to be a simple mission. Zabuza Momochi, Kakashi replied, already reaching for his headband to reveal his Sharingan. Missing Nin from the mist. A-rank bounty. Team 7, protect the client. This one's dangerous. Is he though? Naruto stepped forward, past Kakashi, his hands in his pockets and his expression bored. A-rank? That's like, what, mid-level threat? I've fought heavenly generals. You're just a man with a big sword. Zabuza's killing intent spiked, washing over the area like a physical force. Sakura dropped to her knees. Sasuke barely stayed standing. Even Kakashi tensed under the pressure. Naruto just laughed. That's your killing intent? Cute. I felt the killing intent of the Buddha when he crushed me under a mountain. I felt the rage of the Jade Emperor when I trashed his palace. You're an ant trying to intimidate an elephant. He pulled the needle from behind his ear. Ruyi Jingu Bang! Extend! The staff shot forward like a golden spear, crossing the distance to Zabuza in a fraction of a second. The missing 9 tried to dodge, But he was on water, and water provided no purchase for sudden movement. The staff caught him in the stomach and kept going, extending another 100 meters and carrying Zabuza with it until he slammed into a tree on the far shore with enough force to crack the trunk. Naruto walked across the water, not with chakra control, but by summoning his golden cloud beneath his feet, and reached Zabuza before the man could recover. Hidden mist jutsu. Zabuza's hands flew through seals, and thick mist rolled across the area, reducing visibility to 0. In the distance, Kakashi tensed, preparing to help. Naruto's eyes flashed gold. Fiery golden eyes, he said calmly, and golden flames flickered across his pupils. I can see through any deception, any illusion, any darkness. Your mist? It's like looking through a window. He could see Zabuza's chakra signature as clearly as if it were noon on a cloudless day. Could see the killing intent concentrating as the missing 9 prepared to strike from behind. Naruto spun, his staff already moving. Too slow. The Ruyi Jingu Bang caught Zabuza's Kubikirabocho mid-swing, and the sound of metal on metal rang out like a gong. But the executioner's blade, for all its size and strength, couldn't match a weapon that had been forged in heaven itself. The sword cracked. Zabuza's eyes widened behind his mask. Naruto pressed his advantage, driving forward with a series of strikes that moved so fast they blurred even to Kakashi's Sharingan. Each hit drove Zabuza backward, each impact sending shockwaves through the air. Finally, Naruto extended the staff to maximum size, 10 feet long, thick as a tree trunk, and slammed it down like he was trying to drive a nail through the earth. Zabuza tried to dodge. The staff caught him anyway, pinning him to the ground with enough force to crater the earth beneath him. Blood sprayed from his mouth behind his mask. His Kubikirabocho fell from nerveless fingers. Naruto stood on the staff, looking down at the defeated missing nin with his golden eyes burning. You know what the difference is between you and me? He asked conversationally. You're a demon of the mist. I'm a demon who made heaven itself bow. You were never going to win this fight. He hopped off the staff and shrunk it back to needle size. Behind him, Kakashi and the rest of Team 7 were crossing the water, their expressions varying from shock to awe to horror. Is he dead? Sakura asked quietly. Nah. Naruto prodded Zabuza with his foot. Just broken. Ribs, arms, probably some internal bleeding. He'll live if he gets medical attention soon. Should we capture him? Kakashi asked. There's a bounty. Too much paperwork, Naruto interrupted. Besides, look. He pointed to the trees where a figure in an Anbu mask was approaching, Senbon needles in hand. Hunter nin from the mist, Kakashi identified, here to clean up their missing nin. But Naruto's golden eyes saw through the disguise instantly. That's no hunter nin. Wrong chakra signature, wrong body language, wrong equipment. That's an accomplice here to fake Zabuza's death and drag him away for recovery. The masked figure froze. I can see through your mask, Naruto continued. Male, maybe 15 years old, uses Senbon and ice techniques. You're loyal to Zabuza for some reason, probably because he saved your life once. You're not here to kill him, you're here to save him. The figure Haku, though Naruto didn't know the name yet, stood in tense silence for a moment. Then he spoke, his voice young and uncertain behind the mask. You won't stop me? Why would I? Naruto shrugged. You're just a kid who's loyal to someone. I respect that. Take him, get him medical attention, and tell him that next time he picks a fight, he should make sure his opponent isn't a reincarnated god. It'll save him some broken bones. Haku hesitated, clearly not understanding what was happening. In his experience, enemies didn't just let you walk away. But Naruto had already turned his back, was already walking back toward his team, and Kakashi, taking his student's lead, was gesturing for the others to stand down. Haku grabbed Zabuza and vanished into the mist, his ice mirrors carrying them away faster than any pursuit could follow. Tazuna stared at Naruto like he'd sprouted a second head. You just let them go. They'll be back, Naruto replied. Zabuza doesn't strike me as the type to leave a defeat unanswered. When they come back, I'll beat them again, and again, and again, until either they give up or they get strong enough to actually challenge me. That's how you grow, by fighting people stronger than you. He looked at Sasuke when he said this, and the Uchiha met his gaze with something that might have been understanding. Now come on, Naruto said, his tone brightening. Let's get to this village. I want to see this bridge that's supposedly worth killing over. Wave country was poor. That was Naruto's first impression as they traveled through the small villages and fishing communities that dotted the coastline. The people were thin, their houses in disrepair, their eyes hollow with the exhaustion of survival. Gato, Tazuna explained as they walked. He's a shipping magnate who controls all trade in and out of the land of waves. He's strangling us economically, preventing supplies from reaching us, driving us into poverty so he can buy up everything for pennies. The bridge I'm building will connect us to the mainland and break his monopoly. That's why he wants me dead. So this Gato is a bully, Naruto said flatly. He's using money and thugs to crush people who can't fight back. That's one way to put it. Naruto's eyes flashed gold. I really don't like bullies. They arrived at Tazuna's house, where his daughter Tsunami and grandson Inari waited. The house was small but clean, and Tsunami served them dinner with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Inari, a boy maybe 8 years old, stared at Naruto throughout the meal with open hostility. You're a ninja, Inari finally said. You're gonna die. Inari, Tsunami scolded. It's true. The boy's voice cracked. Gato has hundreds of men. He has ninja working for him. You can't beat them. Nobody can. That's why there are no heroes. Heroes are just people who haven't realized they're going to die yet. Silence fell over the table. Naruto set down his chopsticks and looked at the boy with his golden eyes, and for once, there was no humor in his expression. Kid, he said quietly, I've been killed more times than I can count. I've been burned in divine flames, crushed under a mountain, sealed away from the world. I've fought armies. I've battled gods. I've stood at the gates of hell and walked away laughing. You know what I learned from all that? Inari stared at him, transfixed. Heroes aren't people who don't know they're going to die. Heroes are people who know death is coming and fight anyway. Your grandfather is a hero. He's building this bridge knowing Gato wants him dead, and he's doing it anyway because his people need him. That takes guts. That takes strength. That's what makes a real hero. He stood from the table. As for me, I'm not a hero. I'm something much scarier. I'm the great sage equal to heaven, and I'm about to remind this Gato character why you don't mess with my people. The rematch with Zabuza came 3 days later, on the half-finished bridge that stretched across the bay. Kakashi had been expecting an attack. What he hadn't expected was for Zabuza to bring backup, specifically the masked boy from before, who introduced himself as Haku before summoning a dome of ice mirrors around Sasuke. Demonic ice mirrors. Haku said from within the technique, "You cannot escape. I'm sorry, but Zabuza-sama needs this bridge destroyed, and you're in the way." Sasuke activated his Sharingan, tracking the movement between mirrors, but even his enhanced perception couldn't quite follow Haku's speed. Senbon needles flew from every angle, forcing the Uchiha into an increasingly desperate defense. Naruto watched this from outside the dome with his arms crossed. "Sensei," he called to Kakashi, who was engaged with Zabuza. "Can I break the ice?" "If you can!" Kakashi was barely holding his own against the missing Nin, his Sharingan working overtime to predict and counter each swing of the Kubikira Bocho. Naruto grinned. "Hair clone technique, multiply!" He reached up and grabbed a handful of his hair, yanked it out, which should have hurt but didn't because his Vajra body didn't register pain from something so minor, and blew. The hair shimmered, multiplied, and transformed. Suddenly there were 100 Narutos standing on the bridge, each one a perfect physical copy with its own thoughts and will. Everyone inside the dome, the original Naruto commanded, break it from the inside out. The clones charged forward as one, dozens of them cramming themselves into Haku's demonic ice mirrors. The technique was designed to trap opponents and attack from multiple angles, but it wasn't designed to handle being filled from within. The dome bulged. Haku tried to escape his mirrors, but there was nowhere to go. Every mirror was packed with Naruto clones, all of them grinning, all of them pressing outward with their Vajra-strong bodies. The ice dome shattered, exploding outward in a shower of crystalline shrapnel that glittered in the sunlight. Haku tumbled out, disoriented, and landed at the original Naruto's feet. "Nice technique," Naruto said, looking down at him. "Problem is, it's built for one-on-one combat, against someone who can make an army?" He gestured at his clones, which were already dissipating back into individual hairs. It's kind of useless. Haku looked up at him, and behind his mask there was something like understanding in his eyes. You're strong, stronger than anyone I've ever fought. I know, Naruto extended a hand. Want some advice? Find a better employer, but Zabuza's loyal to money, not to you. You deserve better than being a tool for someone else's greed. Before Haku could respond, a massive presence appeared at the far end of the bridge. Gato had arrived. The shipping magnate was a short, ugly man who compensated for his lack of physical prowess by surrounding himself with hired muscle. Over 200 mercenaries, bandits, and thugs who spread across the bridge like a plague. Well, Gato said, his voice dripping with false cheer. Looks like my pet demon failed again. No matter. I don't need ninja when I have an army. Kill them all. The bridge builder, his protectors, everyone. Leave no witnesses. The mercenaries charged forward with a roar that shook the bridge. Naruto pulled out the needle from behind his ear. Ruyi Jingu Bang, he said quietly, and the affection in his voice was almost tender. Remember when we cleared the Celestial Palace? This should be easier. Grow. Horizontal. The staff expanded in his hands, but instead of growing longer, it grew wider. Thicker and thicker, until it was as wide as the entire bridge itself. A massive cylinder of gold-banded iron that took up every inch of space from one railing to the other. And then Naruto pushed. The Ruyi Jingu Bang, responding to his will, rolled forward like a wheel made of divine metal. It swept across the bridge, and every mercenary in its path was sent flying, over the railings, into the water, tumbling away like leaves before a hurricane. In 5 seconds, the bridge was clear. 200 men had been dispatched like they were nothing, and the only sound was the splash of bodies hitting water and the groaning of the bridge under the weight of 17,000 pounds of iron. Naruto shrunk the staff back down and looked at Gato, who stood frozen in shock at the far end of the bridge. Your turn, Naruto said, and his golden eyes were cold. Run. Gato ran. He made it 3 steps before Naruto picked up a pebble from the bridge's surface, took aim with the casual ease of someone who'd thrown things at gods, and flicked it. The pebble moved faster than sound, crossed the bridge in an instant, and shattered both of Gato's knees with surgical precision. The shipping magnate went down screaming. I changed my mind, Naruto said, walking toward him with his staff resting on his shoulder. I don't feel like letting you run anymore. He stood over Gato, who was crying and begging and offering money. Offering anything, if only Naruto would let him live. You hurt these people, Naruto said quietly. You starved them. You crushed them. You thought you were untouchable because you had money and men. But you know what? Money can't buy you a new spine. He tapped Gato's back with the Ruyi Jingu Bang, gently, barely any pressure at all. Gato went limp from the waist down, paralyzed. You'll live, Naruto said, but you'll never walk again. And every day for the rest of your life, you'll remember the moment you realized that money can't save you from someone who doesn't care about money. Enjoy your retirement. He walked back to his team, leaving Gato sobbing in a pool of his own terror. Behind him, Zabuza and Haku stood in silence, having watched the entire display. Finally, Zabuza spoke, his voice rough. Kid, what the hell are you? Naruto glanced back with a grin. I'm the great sage, equal to heaven, and this is me showing restraint. Be grateful. Last time I got serious, I leveled a palace. Your bridge would have been collateral damage. He turned to Tazuna, who was staring at him with tears streaming down his face. Your bridge is safe, Naruto said simply. Finish it. Connect your people to the mainland, and if anyone else tries to stop you, mention my name. The great sage protects his people. Thank you, Tazuna managed. Thank you. Don't mention it. Naruto's grin returned. Actually, do mention it. I want everyone to know. Mess with Wave Country and you mess with Old Sun. That should keep the next would-be tyrant from getting ideas. The journey back to Konoha was quiet, each member of Team 7 processing what they'd seen in their own way. Sakura kept stealing glances at Naruto, trying to reconcile the prankster from the academy with the being who'd casually dismantled 200 men. Sasuke was silent, his Sharingan eyes distant, clearly running calculations about power levels and what it would take to reach that kind of strength. Kakashi just looked tired. Naruto, the Jonin finally said as they walked through Fire Country's forests. We need to talk about proportional response. What about it? You paralyzed a civilian. I paralyzed a tyrant, Naruto corrected. Big difference. He was hurting people who couldn't fight back. I made sure he'd never hurt anyone again. That's proportional. That's permanent. Good. Naruto's eyes flashed gold. Sometimes people need permanent reminders of what happens when they cross certain lines. Gato crossed so many lines he couldn't even see where he started anymore. I gave him exactly what he deserved. Kakashi sighed. The Hokage is going to have words about this. Let him. Old man knows what I am. He knows I don't play by ninja rules. Naruto glanced at his sensei. Besides, you're not exactly a by-the-book fighter yourself, Kakashi-sensei. I've seen your files, the ones you think are secret. You've made some pretty extreme calls in your time. Kakashi's eye narrowed. How did you? Fiery golden eyes. I can see through walls, remember? Including the walls of the secure records room in the Hokage Tower. Naruto's grin was sharp. Don't worry, your secrets are safe with me. But maybe don't lecture me about proportional response when you've done worse for less. They walked in silence for a while after that. Finally, Sasuke spoke up. Teach me. Naruto looked at him. Teach you what? How to be strong like you. How to move like that. How to win like that. The Uchiha's hands were clenched into fists. I need that strength to kill Itachi. You want me to train you? Naruto considered this, tilting his head. Why would I do that? Because you said you'd show me the path. I said I'd show you the path. Walking it is up to you. Naruto's golden eyes studied Sasuke with an intensity that made the Uchiha want to look away. But fine, I'll give you a lesson right now, free of charge. He stopped walking. Revenge is a poison, he said quietly. It eats at you from the inside. I know this because I've tasted it myself. When heaven tried to put me in my place, when Buddha crushed me under a mountain, I wanted revenge too. I wanted to burn it all down. But you know what I learned? Sasuke waited silent. Revenge without understanding is just rage with a target. Your brother didn't kill your clan for no reason, Sasuke. There's a story there, a reason, a truth you don't know yet. And until you understand that truth, you're just a puppet dancing on strings he tied around you the night he left. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? Naruto's eyes flashed. I can see the curse mark in your chakra, Sasuke. Not the one from Orochimaru. You don't have that yet. The one from Itachi. He marked you with his chakra, with his intent, with his expectations. Every time you think about killing him, you're playing into his hands. He wants you to chase him. He wants you to get strong enough to come after him. The question is, why? Sasuke had no answer. Figure that out, Naruto said, starting to walk again. And maybe I'll teach you something useful. Until then, you're not ready for the kind of power I wield. You just hurt yourself with it. The Chunin exams came 6 months later, announced with all the usual fanfare and politics that came with an international event. Naruto, by this point, was infamous. Stories of the golden-eyed demon of Konoha had spread through the underground, whispered in missing 9 hideouts and mercenary bars. The boy who wielded a staff that could grow to impossible sizes. The kid who defeated Zabuza the demon and crippled Gato with a pebble. The genin who floated on golden clouds and claimed to be a reincarnated god. Most people thought the stories were exaggerated. They were about to learn otherwise. The written test, first stage of the exams, was held in a classroom with Ibiki Morino as proctor. The questions were intentionally difficult, designed to force Genin to cheat without getting caught. A test of information gathering more than actual knowledge. Naruto looked at the test, yawned, and transformed, not into a person, into a fly. One moment he was sitting at his desk, the next he was a common housefly buzzing through the air. His 72 earthly transformations making the change so complete that even sensory ninja couldn't detect him. He flew from desk to desk, reading answers off the papers of examinees who'd actually studied, then landed back at his seat and transformed back into his human form. He filled out his test in 30 seconds flat and went to sleep. When Ibiki called time and asked the final question, stay or leave, pass as a team or fail, Naruto didn't even open his eyes. We're staying, he said from his desk, his tone making it clear he didn't care about the psychological pressure Ibiki was trying to apply. Next stage, please. Ibiki stared at him, then shook his head. You're all insane. Pass. The second stage, the Forest of Death, was where things got interesting. Anko Mitarashi explained the rules. Each team got a scroll, either heaven or earth, and had to obtain the opposite scroll from another team while reaching the tower in the center within 5 days. This forest is filled with deadly creatures, Anko warned with a manic grin. Giant leeches, poisonous plants, predators that can swallow you whole. People die in there. Stay alert. Naruto raised his hand. What? Anko snapped. Can I fight the deadly creatures? They sound fun. What? The giant leeches, the predators? Can I fight them? I'm bored and they sound like decent warm-ups. Anko stared at him. Kid, did you not hear the part about people dying there? I heard it. I just don't think it applies to me. Naruto's eyes flashed gold. I fought bigger, scarier, and meaner. Your forest is basically a petting zoo. You're insane. I'm immortal. There's a difference. They were given their scroll and sent into the forest, and Team 7 made it exactly 3 hours before being ambushed. The ambush came from above. A massive snake, easily 50 feet long, dropping from the canopy with its jaws open wide enough to swallow all 3 of them whole. Before Kakashi could move, before Sasuke could activate his Sharingan, before Sakura could scream, Naruto was in motion. He shrunk down to the size of a mouse using his 72 earthly transformations, dashed into the snake's mouth as it descended, and then inside the creature transformed into a giant. The snake exploded, just exploded, burst apart from internal pressure as Naruto's body expanded to 20 feet tall, inside a space that couldn't possibly contain him. Blood and gore showered the clearing, and when the transformation completed, Naruto stood there in his giant form, covered in snake guts, with an expression of mild disgust. Gross, he said in a voice that shook the trees. Remind me not to do that again. He shrunk back down to his normal size, and the gore covering him somehow didn't make the transition, another benefit of his transformations being actual physical changes rather than illusions. Did you just... Sakura couldn't finish the sentence. Exploded a snake from the inside? Yeah. Naruto picked a piece of snake out of his hair. It was attacking us. I defended us. Pretty standard stuff. That was not standard. Even Sasuke looked shaken. For you, maybe. Naruto looked up at the trees, his golden eyes narrowing. But we've got a bigger problem. Someone's watching us. Someone who really, really wants Sasuke dead. From the shadows of the forest, Orochimaru emerged. The Sannin was smiling beneath his porcelain mask, his snake-like eyes fixed on Sasuke with predatory hunger. Impressive display, Naruto-kun. But I'm not here for you. I'm here for the last Uchiha. Yeah, I figured. Naruto stepped between Orochimaru and his team. You want his body. You want to steal his Sharingan. Problem is, Sasuke's mine. He's my teammate, and I don't share. You think you can stop me? Orochimaru's killing intent flooded the area, and this time it was the real deal. The concentrated malice of one of the legendary Sannin, powerful enough to make even Jonin hesitate. Naruto yawned. I felt the killing intent of Buddha. Yours is a gentle breeze. He reached behind his ear. Now, let's see how a snake handles getting hit by a staff that weighs more than he does. Ruyi Jingu Bang, grow! The staff expanded in his hand, and he swung it like a baseball bat. Orochimaru dodged, his body bending in ways no human spine should allow, but the staff still caught him a glancing blow that sent him tumbling backward. That's... Orochimaru's eyes widened. That weight. What is that weapon? Divine iron from the Dragon Palace. Weighs 17,000 pounds. Want to feel it again? Naruto didn't wait for an answer. He used the cloud somersault to close the distance instantly, appearing above Orochimaru with his staff raised high. Extend! The staff grew to 20 feet long mid-swing, and the Sannin barely escaped by sinking into the earth with a substitution technique that left only a mud clone behind. The Ruyi Jingu Bang annihilated the clone and cratered the ground where Orochimaru had been standing. Running already? Naruto called out, his voice echoing through the forest. I thought you wanted to fight! Orochimaru's voice came from everywhere and nowhere. You're more interesting than I thought, Naruto-kun. But I will have Sasuke's body. Today or tomorrow or 10 years from now, it makes no difference. You can't protect him forever. Watch me. Naruto extended his staff upward, making it grow until it punched through the canopy and extended 100 feet into the sky. Then he spun it like a propeller, and the wind from its rotation flattened trees and scattered leaves and forced Orochimaru, wherever he was hiding, to reveal himself or be caught in the maelstrom. The Sannin appeared at the edge of the clearing, his true body this time, and his expression was calculating rather than amused. "Your son, Wukong," he said suddenly. "The legends are true. You're his reincarnation." "Took you long enough to figure it out." Naruto shrunk his staff back down. "Like, now you understand what you're up against. Still want to push this?" For a long moment, Orochimaru considered. Then he smiled, and it wasn't his usual predatory smile. This one was almost respectful. "Not today," the Sannin said. "But I'll be watching you, Naruto-kun. A reincarnated god in a ninja's world? That's too interesting to ignore." He sank into the earth and vanished, his presence disappearing entirely. Naruto stood there for a moment, staff in hand, golden eyes scanning the forest for any lingering threats. When he was satisfied they were truly alone, he turned back to his team. Sasuke was staring at him with something between awe and fear. Sakura had fainted at some point during the confrontation. "Well," Naruto said cheerfully, shrinking his staff back to needle size. "That was fun. Sasuke, grab Sakura. Let's get to the tower before anything else shows up." "That was Orochimaru," Sasuke said, his voice strained. "One of the legendary Sannin, and you just drove him away." "Yep. How are you so calm about this?" "Because I fought worse." Naruto started walking toward where he knew the tower was. His fiery golden eyes had mapped the entire forest the moment they'd entered. When you've gone toe-to-toe with celestial armies, a snake man is just another Tuesday. Behind him, Sasuke picked up the unconscious Sakura and followed, his mind racing with the implications of what he'd just seen. His teammate, the dead last, the fool, the prankster, had just casually fought off one of the most dangerous ninja alive. And he'd done it easily. The preliminary rounds happened in the tower, with all the passing teams gathered in a massive chamber, while Hiruzen explained that too many teams had passed and they needed to thin the numbers. Naruto leaned against a wall, looking bored, while the Hokage droned on about the nature of the exams and their purpose. Finally, the first match was called: Naruto Uzumaki versus Kiba Inuzuka. Kiba grinned as he and Akamaru descended to the arena floor. "Finally! I've been wanting to test myself against you ever since the academy." Naruto hopped down from the balcony, not using the stairs, just dropping 15 feet and landing with easy grace. "You sure about this, dog boy? You're not gonna like how it ends." "Big talk from the class clown. If you say so." Naruto pulled out his needle. "Hajime?" Hayate Gecko, the proctor, coughed. "Begin." Kiba and Akamaru attacked immediately, using their combination techniques to strike from multiple angles. But Naruto's fiery golden eyes tracked every movement, saw every feint, predicted every attack before it happened. He didn't move until they were both committed to their final strike. Man-beast clone with double-piercing fang, a spiral of claws and fangs coming at him from two directions with nowhere to dodge. Then he held out the needle. "Ruyi Jingu Bang, extend!" The staff grew in both directions simultaneously, creating a horizontal bar that clotheslined both Kiba and Akamaru mid-charge. They hit the iron with enough force to flip them completely over, and they crashed to the ground in a tangled heap, unconscious before they even understood what had happened. "Winner, Naruto Uzumaki," Hayate announced. The entire room was silent. "Next match, please." Naruto called up cheerfully, shrinking his staff back down. "I'm getting bored." The matches continued, each one showcasing the next generation of ninja. Sasuke fought and won with his Sharingan. Sakura fought and lost, but showed courage. Shikamaru fought and won through strategy despite his laziness. And when Neji Hyuga stepped into the arena for his match, Naruto paid attention for the first time since his own fight. The Hyuga genius was everything reputation said he was. Precise, powerful, completely convinced of his own superiority and the absolute nature of fate. He defeated his opponent with the gentle fist technique, sealing their chakra points and delivering a lecture about destiny with each strike. "Fate cannot be changed," Neji declared after his victory. "The weak are weak, the strong are strong. That is the destiny we're all born with." From the balcony, Naruto's laughter echoed through the chamber. "Oh man," he said, wiping tears from his eyes. "Oh, that's rich. Kid, do you have any idea how wrong you are?" Neji looked up at him, his Byakugan eyes cold. "You mock destiny?" I mock idiots who think destiny is unchangeable. Naruto vaulted the railing and dropped to the arena floor, landing in front of Neji with his hands in his pockets. Want to know about fate? I was fated to be a stone monkey, just another animal living in a forest, but I sought immortality and achieved it, 7 times over. I was fated to serve heaven. Instead, I fought heaven and made them acknowledge me as their equal. I was fated to be crushed under a mountain forever. Instead, I got free, became a Buddha, and achieved enlightenment. He stepped closer, his golden eyes boring into Neji's white ones. Fate is what people call it when they're too weak to change their circumstances. I've rewritten my fate so many times that the book of life and death itself gave up trying to track me. So don't stand there and tell me destiny can't be changed. It just means you haven't tried hard enough. You can't understand, Neji said, his voice tight. You weren't born into slavery. You don't know what it's like to be branded by your own clan. I was sealed under a mountain for 500 years by Buddha's palm, Naruto interrupted. I know exactly what it's like to be imprisoned by something you can't fight. The difference is, I didn't accept it. I raged against it every day until I found my freedom. Your destiny is whatever you make it, Hyuga. Remember that. He walked away, leaving Neji standing in the arena with his worldview shaken. The finals were held a month later, giving the participants time to train and the village time to prepare for the spectacle. Naruto spent the month doing what he always did, training in his own way, which meant remembering techniques from his past life and adapting them to his current body. He practiced his cloud somersault until he could cross the entire village in a single leap. He refined his hair clone technique until each clone could think and act independently without his direct control. He meditated with the Ruyi Jingu Bang, reforging the bond between weapon and wielder that had been interrupted by 5 centuries of separation, and he talked to Kurama. The conversations were interesting. The Ninetales had gone from hostile to wary to something that might almost be called respectful. When Naruto needed extra chakra, Kurama gave it. When Naruto asked about Biju abilities, Kurama explained they weren't friends, but they were partners, and that was enough. The day of the finals arrived with clear skies and a packed stadium. Naruto's match was against Neji Hyuga. The finals had been arranged to give the Destiny conversation a proper conclusion. They faced each other in the center of the arena, watched by thousands of spectators, including the Hokage and various dignitaries from other villages. I won't hold back, Neji said, dropping into his gentle fist stance. Even against you. Good, Naruto replied, because if you held back, this wouldn't be any fun. Hajime, the proctor called. Neji attacked immediately, his Byakugan tracking Naruto's chakra points as he closed the distance with gentle fist strikes aimed at vital tenketsu. He hit all 64 points, perfect strikes, textbook execution. Each one should have sealed Naruto's chakra, should have left him unable to mold even a basic jutsu. Instead, Naruto just stood there, looking unimpressed. You done? He asked. Neji's eyes widened behind his Byakugan. That's impossible. I sealed your chakra points. No, you tried to seal them. Naruto flexed, and his indestructible Vajra body rejected the gentle fist technique entirely. Neji's fingers cracked from the backlash. It was like he'd been trying to seal chakra points made of solid steel. Problem is, my body survived 49 days in the trigram furnace. Divine flames meant to reduce me to ash just made me stronger. You think your little pokes can affect me? He stomped and the arena floor cracked in a perfect circle around him, radiating outward like a shockwave. Let me tell you about fate, Hyuga. You say you're trapped by destiny? Fine, here's your destiny. You're going to lose this fight. Not because you're weak, you're actually pretty skilled for your age. But because I'm son Wukong, the great sage equal to heaven, and you're just a kid who's bought into his clan's propaganda. Neji tried to attack again, faster this time, using 8 trigrams, 64 palms in rapid succession. Naruto caught his hand mid-strike. But, he continued, his grip gentle despite the power behind it. Just because that's your destiny right now doesn't mean it's your destiny forever. You want to change your fate? Stop blaming your circumstances and start making your own path. I did it. You can too. You just have to be willing to fight for it. He pulled the Ruyi Jingu Bang from behind his ear with his free hand. So here's your choice, Neji. Accept your loss here with dignity and learn from it, or keep fighting and I'll have to get serious. Fair warning, if I get serious, you're going to the hospital. Neiji's Byakugan eyes blazed with determination and fury. I don't accept charity. I don't accept pity. And I don't accept defeat. He wrenched his hand free and activated his ultimate technique, 8 trigrams palms revolving heaven, spinning in place to create a chakra barrier that deflected all attacks. It was beautiful, flawless execution, the kind of technique that marked a genius of the Hyuga clan. Naruto pointed his staff at it. Ruyi Jingu Bang! Grow! The staff extended, struck the chakra barrier, and punched through it like it was made of paper. The barrier shattered, the technique collapsed, and the staff continued forward, stopping only when its tip pressed gently against Neiji's forehead. Destiny is what you make it, Naruto said quietly. But sometimes you need someone stronger to show you that it can be changed at all. Consider this your wake-up call. He tapped Neiji's forehead with the staff, gently, barely any pressure. Neiji's eyes rolled back, and he collapsed unconscious. Winner, Naruto Uzumaki, the proctor announced. The crowd was silent for a long moment. Then someone started clapping, then another, then another. Within seconds, the entire stadium was on their feet, applauding not just the victory, but the message behind it. Even Hiruzen, watching from the Kage box, was clapping, because for all his concerns about Naruto's power, this was what made the boy special. He was strong enough to crush his opponents, but wise enough to teach them instead. That was the mark of a true sage. The attack came during the next match, while Sasuke was fighting some sound ninja whose name Naruto hadn't bothered to remember. Feathers started falling from the sky. A genjutsu, designed to put the entire stadium to sleep. Most of the civilians collapsed immediately. Many of the genin followed. Even some of the chunin succumbed. Naruto's fiery golden eyes saw through it instantly. He released the genjutsu with a flex of his will and looked around to assess the situation. Sound ninja were pouring into the stadium. A barrier had been erected around the Kage box. Hiruzen was trapped inside with 4 ninja who bore the mark of Orochimaru. An invasion, Naruto said, his tone almost pleased. Finally, something interesting. He pulled out his staff and let it expand to full size, then planted it in the ground and surveyed the chaos below. Kakashi appeared beside him in a swirl of leaves. Naruto, we need to evacuate the civilians. You evacuate them, Naruto interrupted. I'm going to deal with this invasion. There are too many of them. Even you, Sensei. Naruto looked at him with golden eyes that held the weight of centuries. I fought the entire celestial army, 100,000 immortal warriors, all of them stronger than any ninja in this stadium, and I won. This invasion? He grinned. This is barely a warm-up. He pulled a handful of hair from his head. Hair clone technique, multiply. He blew on the hairs and they exploded into an army. 1,000 Naruto clones filled the stadium, each one solid and real and independent, each one carrying a copy of the Ruyi Jingu Bang made from more transformed hair. Everyone, the original Naruto called out, protect the civilians. Deal with the invaders. Non-lethal if possible, but don't take chances. Show these fools why you don't mess with the great sage's village. The clones charged forward as one, and chaos became an organized rout. Every sound ninja that engaged a Naruto clone found themselves facing an opponent with perfect technique, indestructible skin, and a weapon that weighed more than a boulder. The invasion faltered. The invaders fell. Meanwhile, the original Naruto used his cloud somersault to reach the Kage box in a single leap, his golden cloud depositing him atop the barrier that trapped Hiruzen. Old man, he called down. Need a hand? Inside the barrier, Hiruzen was already in his battle gear, facing off against 4 ninja wearing the masks of Anbu. But these weren't Anbu, they were Orochimaru's Sound 4, enhanced with curse seals and years of twisted training. Naruto, Hiruzen called up, his tone urgent. This is the 4 Violet Flames formation. It's a high-level barrier. You can't. Naruto extended his staff and poked the barrier. The Ruyi Jingu Bang, being a divine weapon that had never been bound by mortal laws, simply ignored the barrier and passed through as if it wasn't there. The 4 sound ninja maintaining the formation stared in shock as the staff extended through the barrier and tapped each of them on the head in rapid succession. Tap, 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 knocking all 4 unconscious simultaneously. The barrier collapsed. Can't what? Naruto asked innocently, shrinking his staff back down. Hiruzen stared at him, then shook his head with something that might have been a laugh. Why do I even bother worrying about you? Good question. Naruto hopped down to stand beside the Hokage, his eyes scanning the stadium below where his clones were systematically dismantling the invasion force. So, where's the snake? Orochimaru's behind this, right? I can smell his chakra all over these sound ninja. He'll reveal himself when a massive summoning appeared in the middle of the stadium. A three-headed snake, each head the size of a building, crushing the arena floor under its weight. On top of the middle head stood Orochimaru, his arms hanging useless at his sides, sealed by Hiruzen's jutsu during their earlier confrontation, but his smile still firmly in place. Naruto-kun, the Sannin called out. Ready for round 2? Oh, hell yes. Naruto's grin was all teeth. I hate snakes. He pulled the needle from behind his ear and held it up to the sky. Ruyi Jingu Bang, grow to the heavens! The staff responded with enthusiasm. It exploded in size, thickening to the width of a tree trunk and extending upward so fast it created a sonic boom. Up and up and up it grew, piercing through clouds, shooting into the stratosphere, until it was a golden pillar visible from miles away. Then Naruto commanded it to come down. The Ruyi Jingu Bang descended like the fist of an angry god, aimed directly at Orochimaru's summoning. The three-headed snake looked up, saw its doom approaching, and tried to unsummon itself in panic. Too late. The staff came down with enough force to create a crater where the stadium had been. The three-headed snake was obliterated, literally squashed flat under divine iron. The shockwave knocked over buildings 3 blocks away. Dust and debris filled the air. When it cleared, Naruto stood on top of his now normal-sized staff, which was planted in the center of a massive crater. Orochimaru was nowhere to be seen. He'd escaped during the chaos, his survival instincts overriding his desire for combat. The invasion was over. The sound ninja who hadn't already been defeated by Naruto's clones were fleeing the village. Those who could still walk, dragging those who couldn't. Naruto shrunk his staff back to needle size and looked around at the destruction he'd caused. Oops, he said. Maybe that was too much. Behind him, Hiruzen landed on the rim of the crater, looking at the devastation with the expression of someone who just watched a natural disaster happen in real time. Naruto, he said quietly, we're gonna have words about collateral damage. But I won, right? Naruto grinned. I stopped the invasion. I protected the village. That's what matters. You also destroyed our stadium. Details. Naruto waved his hand dismissively. Besides, you needed a new one anyway. This is just forced renovation. The aftermath of the invasion took weeks to clean up. The stadium was a total loss. Several buildings needed repairs, but miraculously, casualties were minimal. Naruto's clones had protected the civilians with ruthless efficiency. The village had a new hero, or depending on who you asked, a new terrifying force of nature that happened to be on their side. Naruto didn't care which. He'd done what needed doing. The mission rankings came from the Hokage's office a month later. Naruto was promoted to Chunin, not because he'd passed any particular test, but because refusing to promote him at this point would have been ridiculous. Sasuke was promoted to Chunin as well, his performance during the invasion having impressed the right people. Sakura remained a genin, but she'd started training with Tsunade. Hiruzen had convinced the Sannin to return to the village after the invasion, and the Slug Princess had taken one look at Sakura's determination and agreed to teach her. Team 7 was officially dissolved, as was custom when members reached Chunin rank. But Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura still trained together, still took missions together when their schedules aligned. Because despite everything, despite the massive gap in power, despite the chaos, they were still a team. The Sasuke retrieval mission came 2 years later, when they were all 14. Naruto had been away on a mission in Lightning Country. Something about a rogue ninja causing trouble near the border. When he got the message, Sasuke had left the village. The Uchiha had finally snapped under the weight of his obsession with revenge, had accepted Orochimaru's curse mark, and had walked away from everything in pursuit of power. A retrieval team had been sent after him. Shikamaru Nara leading Kiba Inuzuka, Choji Akimichi, and Neji Hyuga. They'd been gone for 6 hours. Naruto didn't wait for permission. He didn't assemble a team. He didn't even pack supplies. He just used the cloud somersault to cover the distance from lightning country to the border of fire country in a matter of hours. Moving so fast, he left a trail of golden mist across the sky that people would talk about for years. He found the retrieval team engaged with the Sound Four, Orochimaru's elite guards who'd been sent to escort Sasuke to their master. The ninja were tough, each one enhanced with curse seals that made them low-level monsters. Naruto didn't bother with tactics. He landed in the middle of their position, pulled out the Ruyi Jingu Bang, and simply expanded it in all 4 cardinal directions simultaneously. The staff grew to the size of 4 tree trunks, each end extending 100 meters in a different direction, and caught all 4 sound ninja before they could react. They flew away like baseballs, disappearing into the forest. "You guys okay?" Naruto asked, turning to the retrieval team. Shikamaru, bleeding from a dozen cuts and breathing hard, just stared at him. "How did you? You're supposed to be in lightning country." "I somersaulted. Where's Sasuke?" Heading toward the Valley of the End, there's one more enemy, Kimimaro of the Kaguya clan. He's don't care. Naruto was already moving. "Get back to the village. I'll bring the idiot home." He vanished in a swirl of golden mist, leaving the retrieval team standing in stunned silence. The Valley of the End was a memorial site, featuring massive statues of Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha facing each other across a waterfall. It was also where Sasuke Uchiha stood, his curse mark fully activated, his body transformed into something between human and monster, with wings of chakra and skin covered in dark marks. He was waiting. "Naruto," Sasuke said as his teammate arrived on a golden cloud, floating casually above the waterfall. "I was wondering when you'd show up." "Sasuke." Naruto looked at him with golden eyes that held disappointment rather than anger. "You're an idiot. I'm getting stronger. You're running away." Naruto descended from his cloud and landed on the statue of Hashirama, looking down at Sasuke, who stood on Madara's statue. "You're running away from the people who care about you, from the life you've built, from everything, because you're too scared to face the truth." "I'm not scared." "Yes, you are." Naruto's voice was gentle now, understanding. "You're scared that if you stay in the village, you'll get comfortable. You'll make connections, you'll have things to lose, and then when you face Itachi, those things will make you weak. That's what you believe, right?" Sasuke's silence was answer enough. "But you're wrong," Naruto continued. "Connections don't make you weak. They make you strong. I learned that on my journey to the West. The monk, the pig, the river demon, they weren't burdens. They were companions who made me better. You're throwing that away because some snake bastard convinced you that isolation equals power. You don't understand." Sasuke's chakra flared, black flames of hatred mixing with the power of his curse mark. "I need more power. I need to kill Itachi, and I'll never get strong enough staying in that village doing D-rank missions and playing ninja." "You want power?" Naruto's eyes flashed gold, and for the first time since his awakening, he let his full presence shine. The air itself seemed to grow heavy. The waterfall slowed. Birds fell silent. "Let me show you real power." He pulled out the Ruyi Jingu Bang. "Come at me, Sasuke. Hit me with everything you've got. Chidori, curse mark, Sharingan, all of it. And when you're done, when you've given me your best shot, you'll understand the difference between the power you're chasing and the power I wield." Sasuke hesitated for just a moment. Then his pride, his anger, his desperation all combined into action. He charged, his curse mark fully activated, his Sharingan spinning, his Chidori screaming in his hand with enough electricity to light up the valley. Chidori! The lightning technique struck Naruto's chest dead center and bounced off. The Chidori, Kakashi's signature technique, A-rank lightning jutsu capable of cutting through anything, hit Naruto's indestructible Vajra body and shattered. The lightning dispersed harmlessly. The chakra dissipated, and Sasuke's hand crumpled, bones breaking from the impact of striking something that simply wouldn't yield. Naruto hadn't moved. He stood there on Hashirama's statue with his arms crossed and his expression patient. "My turn?" he asked. He raised the Ruyi Jingu Bang and pointed it at the ground between the two statues. "Ruyi Jingu Bang! Crush heaven!" The staff responded with terrifying obedience. It grew wider and wider, thickening until it was as broad as the entire valley, a golden pillar of divine iron that blotted out the sky. Then it came down. Not on Sasuke. Naruto wasn't trying to kill him. But on the valley itself, the impact was biblical. The ground shattered, the waterfall stopped flowing. The river evaporated from the sheer pressure. The statues of Hashirama and Madara crumbled to dust. For miles in every direction, the landscape was flattened, transformed into a massive crater with only the Ruyi Jingu Bang standing at its center like a monument to impossible power. When the dust settled, Sasuke was pinned beneath the edge of the staff, unable to move, his curse mark receding, his chakra exhausted, his will broken. Naruto walked down the length of his weapon and crouched beside the Uchiha. "You wanted to see power?" he said quietly. "That was me holding back. That was me being gentle. Because you're my teammate, my companion, my brother in all but blood. If I really wanted to, I could erase your name from the book of life and death. I could make it so you'd never been born. I could reshape reality itself." He reached out and placed a hand on Sasuke's head, the gesture almost paternal. "But I don't want to do any of that. I want you to come home. I want you to get stronger the right way, not through shortcuts and curse marks, but through genuine growth. I want you to become strong enough that when you finally face Itachi, you'll understand the truth behind what he did." "The truth?" Sasuke managed, his voice weak. "Your brother loved you, Sasuke. Everything he did to protect you. I can see it in the way your chakra resonates with his. The massacre wasn't about hate. It was about impossible choices and clan loyalty and village security. When you're strong enough, when you're wise enough, I'll tell you everything my fiery golden eyes have seen. But first, you have to choose to come back." Naruto stood and shrunk his staff, releasing Sasuke from its weight. "So what's it going to be, Uchiha? You going to keep running toward a false promise of power? Or are you going to come home and actually earn the strength you need?" Sasuke lay on the ground for a long moment, staring up at the sky that was visible now that the golden pillar had shrunk away. His hand was broken, his body ached, his pride was in tatters, but for the first time in years his mind was clear. "Take me home," he whispered. "Good choice." Naruto grabbed him by the ankle and summoned his cloud. "Hold on, the ride back is fast." He used the cloud somersault to return to Konoha, dragging the unconscious Uchiha behind him like luggage, his golden trail visible across the entire sky. Tsunade Senju, the fifth Hokage, Hiruzen had stepped down after the invasion, finally admitting he was too old for the position, stood at the village gates with her arms crossed and her expression somewhere between impressed and furious. "Naruto Uzumaki," she said as he landed in front of her. "You destroyed the Valley of the End." "It was strategically necessary," Naruto replied, dropping the unconscious Sasuke at her feet. "Here's your wayward Uchiha. He's broken but alive. Fix him." The Valley of the End is a historic landmark. It was also a convenient place for Sasuke to make terrible decisions. "I've saved future retrieval teams the trouble. You're welcome." Tsunade's eye twitched. "We're going to have words about this." Yeah. Naruto waved his hand dismissively. "Everyone wants to have words with me." "Get in line." He walked past her, into the village, and headed for his apartment. Behind him, he could hear Tsunade ordering medical teams to take Sasuke to the hospital. Could hear the whispers of the villagers who'd watched him drag an unconscious Uchiha heir through the gates. The great sage had returned to the mortal plane, and heaven itself would tremble once more. This was only the beginning. Sasuke Uchiha woke up 3 days later in Konoha's hospital, his body wrapped in bandages and his mind foggy with painkillers. The first thing he saw was Naruto sitting cross-legged on the windowsill, tossing his needle staff from hand to hand while watching the village below. "You're awake," Naruto said without turning around, his golden eyes reflected in the window glass. "About time. Tsunade Bachan said you'd be out for a week, but I figured you were tougher than that." Sasuke tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Every muscle in his body screamed in protest. What happened?" "I broke most of your bones, shattered your pride, and dragged you home like a sack of rice." Naruto finally turned to look at him, and his expression was uncharacteristically serious. "You tried to run away to Orochimaru. I stopped you. We had a conversation with our fists. I won. The end. The Valley of the End is now the Crater of the End. Yeah, Tsunade's pretty mad about that." Naruto hopped down from the windowsill and walked over to Sasuke's bed. "But here's the thing, Uchiha. I'm going to tell you something, and you're going to listen. No interrupting, no arguing, just listen. Sasuke wanted to protest, but something in Naruto's golden eyes made him stay silent. Your brother didn't betray you, Naruto said quietly. He saved you. The Uchiha clan was planning a coup against Konoha. They were going to start a civil war that would have destroyed the village and killed thousands. The third Hokage and the village elders gave Itachi an impossible choice. Let the coup happen and watch the village burn, or stop it himself and save at least one person from his clan. You're lying. Fiery golden eyes. Naruto tapped the corner of his eye. I see truth, Sasuke. I can't lie even if I wanted to, because my eyes won't let me see anything but reality. And the reality is that Itachi Uchiha loved you more than anything in this world. He became a villain so you could be a hero. He killed everyone he loved so you could live, and he's been protecting you from the shadows ever since. Sasuke's Sharingan activated involuntarily, spinning as his emotions went haywire. No, that can't be. It is. Naruto's voice was gentle now, understanding. I know it hurts. I know it makes everything you've believed for the last 7 years a lie. But it's the truth. Itachi is part of an organization called Akatsuki now, hunting tailed beasts. And when he comes for me, and he will come for me, you're going to see for yourself. You're going to look him in the eyes and understand what he sacrificed for you. Tears were streaming down Sasuke's face now, his Sharingan spinning faster and faster as his mind tried to process information that contradicted everything he'd built his identity around. Why are you telling me this? He managed. Because you're my teammate, my companion, my brother in all but blood. Naruto placed a hand on Sasuke's shoulder. And brothers don't let brothers destroy themselves chasing ghosts. You want revenge? Fine, but get revenge on the people who actually deserve it. The elders who forced Itachi into that position. The system that made his choice necessary. The world that creates situations where a 13-year-old has to massacre his own family to prevent a war. He pulled his hand back and walked toward the door. Get better, Sasuke. We've got a long road ahead of us. And when Itachi shows up, you're going to need to be strong enough to hear the truth from his own mouth. Naruto left the room, leaving Sasuke alone with his shattered worldview and his tears. Tsunade Senju was waiting in her office when Naruto arrived, her arms crossed and her expression somewhere between furious and impressed. Sit, she commanded, pointing at the chair across from her desk. Naruto sat, looking completely unrepentant. You destroyed a historic landmark, Tsunade began. The Valley of the End was created by Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha during their final battle. It was a symbol of old grudges and ancient conflicts, Naruto interrupted. It was a reminder that even the strongest ninja end up fighting each other. I removed that reminder. You're welcome. Tsunade's eye twitched. That's not how historic preservation works. Says who? Naruto leaned back in his chair. Listen, Bachin, I get that you're mad, but that valley was the perfect place for emotionally unstable teenagers to have dramatic battles about their feelings. I did future generations a favor by flattening it. Now they'll have to work out their drama somewhere less symbolic. That's not. You can't just... Tsunade pinched the bridge of her nose. Why do I even bother? Because deep down, you know I'm right. Naruto grinned. Besides, I brought Sasuke back alive. That's what matters. The landscape is temporary. Companions are important. Tsunade stared at him for a long moment, then sighed heavily. You're going to be the death of me. Nah, you're too stubborn to die. Naruto stood up. Now, if we're done with the lecture about property damage, we're not. Tsunade's voice turned serious. Naruto, you need to understand something. The display of power you showed at the Valley of the End didn't just destroy a landmark. It sent a message to every village in the elemental nations. They know now, without a doubt, that Konoha has something they can't match. Me, Naruto said flatly. You, and that makes you a target. She pulled out a scroll and unrolled it on her desk. I've received reports from our intelligence network. Every major village is talking about you. The golden-eyed demon, the Monkey King reborn, the great sage of Konoha. You've become a legend, Naruto, and legends attract attention. Naruto leaned over the desk to read the scroll. It contained reports from various sources, mentions of his fight with Zabuza, the invasion defense, and now the Valley of the End. Each report was increasingly hyperbolic, describing him as everything from a demon to a god. Huh, he said. They're not wrong about the god part. This isn't a joke. Tsunade slammed her hand on the desk. The Akatsuki organization, the one Itachi is part of, is hunting Jinchūriki. They're collecting tailed beasts for some unknown purpose. And you, Naruto Uzumaki, container of the nine-tailed fox, are their primary target. Let them come. Naruto's golden eyes flashed with anticipation. I've been wanting a proper fight. You don't understand the danger. No, you don't understand. Naruto's voice was calm but firm. Bachan, I appreciate the concern. Really, I do. But I'm not some fragile genin who needs protection. I'm the great sage equal to heaven. I've fought armies, I've battled gods, I've stood at the gates of hell and walked away laughing. Whatever this Akatsuki organization is planning, whatever power they think they have, it's nothing compared to what I've faced before. He walked toward the door, then paused. But I'll tell you what, when they come for me, I'll make sure to leave enough of them alive to send a message back to their leader. How's that for diplomacy? Tsunade watched him leave, her expression troubled. She'd been Hokage for 2 years now, and in that time she'd dealt with rogue ninja, political tensions, and village threats. But Naruto Uzumaki was something entirely different, a force of nature wearing a human face, bound to Konoha by choice rather than loyalty or duty. The question was, what happened when that choice changed? Itachi Uchiha and Kasame Hoshigaki entered Konoha 3 weeks later, their presence masked by genjutsu and their intentions clear. Capture the Nine-Tails Jinchūriki. They didn't make it 10 steps into the village before Naruto appeared in front of them, standing on a rooftop with his hands in his pockets and his golden eyes gleaming in the afternoon sun. Itachi Uchiha, Naruto said conversationally, the man who killed his entire clan to prevent a war. The S-rank missing nin who's actually a hero playing the role of a villain. And Kasame Hoshigaki, the tireless tailed beast, wielder of Samehada. You guys are here for me, right? Both Akatsuki members froze, Itachi sharing and activated immediately, his Mangekyo spinning as he tried to catch Naruto in a genjutsu. The technique was flawless, Tsukuyomi, his ultimate illusion that trapped victims in a world of endless torture for what felt like 72 hours. Naruto's eyes flashed gold, and the genjutsu shattered like glass. Fiery golden eyes, Naruto explained, tapping the corner of his eye. I can see through any illusion, any deception, any darkness. Your Sharingan is impressive, Itachi, but it's still just a mortal technique. I've seen the true forms of gods. Your illusions are children's tricks by comparison. Kasame stepped forward, his massive sword Samehada already unwrapped and hungry. Big words, brat. Let's see if you can back them up. Samehada! Feast! The living sword surged forward, its scales opening to reveal countless teeth designed to shave away chakra. It had eaten the chakra of tailed beasts before. One Jinchūriki should be easy. The blade struck Naruto's chest and screamed. Not metaphorically. The sword actually screamed, a sound like metal being torn apart from the inside. Samehada recoiled, its scales damaged, its teeth cracked, and Kasame stared in shock as his weapon literally tried to escape from his grip. What the? My body survived 49 days in the trigram furnace, Naruto said, looking down at where Samehada had struck him. There wasn't even a mark on his clothing. Divine flames hot enough to reduce gods to ash just made me stronger. Your sword tried to eat divine power, Kasame. That's like trying to swallow the sun. It's lucky it only cracked. He pulled out the needle from behind his ear. Ruyi Jingu Bang! Grow! The staff expanded in his hands, and he swung it in a horizontal arc that forced both Akatsuki members to leap backward. The weapon continued growing, extending across the entire street, and Naruto used it as leverage to vault into the air. Cloud somersault! He vanished in a swirl of golden mist and reappeared behind Itachi, his staff already moving in a downward strike that would have crushed the Uchiha's spine. Itachi substituted with a murder of crows at the last second, his body dissolving into black birds that scattered in every direction. Impressive! Itachi's voice came from everywhere, but can you track all of me at once? Yes. Naruto's eyes flashed gold, and he pointed at a specific crow. Third one from the left, second row, flying east. That's your real body. The rest are shadow clones transformed to match your crow summons. Nice try, though. He swung his staff, and the crow he'd indicated burst apart to reveal Itachi, who barely blocked the strike with a kunai that immediately shattered under the impact. "You can see through everything," Itachi said, and there was something like respect in his voice. "Genjutsu, clones, substitutions, none of it works on you. None of it ever has." Naruto landed on a rooftop and shrunk his staff back down. "That's what it means to have eyes that see truth, Itachi. I see your techniques before you use them. I see the chakra flowing through your body, plotting your movements. I see the guilt in your heart, the love for your brother, the pain of your choices." Itachi's Mangekyo spun faster. "You know everything, and soon Sasuke will too." Naruto gestured toward the hospital where Sasuke was still recovering. "You can't hide the truth forever. Eventually, he'll be strong enough to handle it, and when that day comes, you're going to have to face him and explain yourself." For the first time since entering Konoha, Itachi Uchiha looked uncertain. Kisame, meanwhile, had recovered from his shock and was studying Naruto with the calculating gaze of a veteran warrior. "You're not human. What are you?" "I'm son Wukong, the great sage equal to heaven, currently residing in the body of Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto grinned. "And you two are going to run back to your leader and tell them that the Nine-Tails Jinchūriki is off limits, because anyone who tries to capture me is going to learn what it means to fight a god." "Bold words," Kisame said, and Samahata was already regenerating its damaged scales. "But Pain-sama doesn't accept failure. We're here to complete a mission, and you're here to die if you don't leave," Naruto interrupted, and his golden eyes were cold now. "I'm giving you one chance, fish face. Take Itachi and go. Come back when you're ready for a real fight, not this probing attack to test my abilities. Because right now, you're boring me." Kasame's killing intent spiked, and the air grew heavy with murderous pressure. Naruto yawned. "That's it?" He pulled out his staff again. "Let me show you real killing intent, the kind that makes heaven itself tremble." His presence exploded outward, not chakra, not killing intent, but something far older and more primal. The weight of 500 years of rage contained under a mountain. The fury of a being who'd fought the entire celestial army and won. The absolute certainty of someone who'd stared down Buddha himself and refused to bow. The entire village felt it. Windows cracked. Civilians collapsed. Even Jonin-level ninja struggled to stay standing under the pressure. Kasame dropped to one knee, his body involuntarily recognizing a predator so far above him that resistance was meaningless. Itachi stayed standing through sheer will, but his Sharingan was spinning desperately, trying to process what he was sensing. "This is what it means to stand before the great sage," Naruto said quietly, his voice carrying absolute authority. "You wanted to test me? Congratulations! You've confirmed that I'm beyond your ability to capture. Now leave my village before I decide that letting you live was a mistake." He pulled back his presence and the pressure disappeared as quickly as it had come. Itachi and Kasame exchanged glances, a wordless communication between partners who'd worked together for years. Then Itachi spoke, his voice steady despite what they'd just experienced. "We'll report to Pain-sama, but this isn't over." "It never is," Naruto agreed. "Next time, bring your leader. I want to meet the guy who thinks he can collect tailed beasts like Pokemon cards. Should be entertaining." The two Akatsuki members vanished in swirls of water and crows respectively, their mission a failure, but their intelligence gathering complete. Naruto stood on the rooftop for a moment longer, then sensed Sasuke's chakra signature approaching rapidly from the hospital. The Uchiha landed beside him, still covered in bandages, but moving with the determination of someone who refused to stay bedridden any longer. "Was that Itachi?" Sasuke demanded. "Yeah. Why didn't you stop him?" "Why didn't you?" "Because you're not ready," Naruto said, cutting him off. "You heard what I told you in the hospital, Sasuke. Your brother is a hero playing a villain's role. When you face him next, you need to be strong enough to hear the truth without letting your emotions destroy you. Right now, you just charge in with rage and get yourself killed." "I can. You can barely stand." Naruto pointed at where Sasuke was favoring his left leg. "You broke 17 bones in that fight at the Valley of the End. Tsunade put you back together, but you're still healing. Give it time. Get stronger. And when Itachi comes back, and he will come back, you'll be ready to face him as an equal." Sasuke wanted to argue, but he knew Naruto was right. He'd felt Itachi's presence from the hospital, had felt the massive killing intent Naruto had released in response. The gap between him and his brother was still too large. "Teach me," Sasuke said finally. "Whatever you did to Itachi, whatever power you have, teach me how to get stronger." "I can't teach you my techniques," Naruto replied. "They're divine powers, Sasuke. You're mortal. Your body couldn't handle them. But I can teach you something more valuable." "What?" "How to see truth." Naruto tapped his golden eyes. "Not with fiery golden eyes. You don't have those. But with your Sharingan. You've been using it as a weapon, as a tool for copying jutsu and tracking movements. But the Sharingan is more than that. It's the eye that reflects the soul. Learn to see past the surface, past the techniques, past the lies people tell themselves. See the truth of your opponents, and you'll understand how to defeat them." He started walking away, then paused. "Also, work on your taijutsu. Your Chidori is impressive, but it's predictable. You need to be able to fight without relying on your signature moves. Versatility is the key to survival." Sasuke watched him go, his mind racing with questions and determinations and the beginning of understanding. His brother was alive. His brother had reasons. And somehow, impossibly, that hurt more than thinking he'd been simply betrayed. Jiraiya the Toad Sage arrived in Konoha 3 days later, summoned by Tsunade to discuss the Akatsuki threat. He'd been investigating the organization for years, tracking their movements across the elemental nations, and his intelligence suggested they were escalating their operations. "They've captured 3-tailed beasts already," Jiraiya explained, spreading a map across Tsunade's desk. "The 1 tail from Sunagakure, the 3 tails that was roaming wild, and the 7 tails from Takigakure. Their leader, Pain, commands 6 bodies simultaneously, all with the Rinnegan." "The Rinnegan?" Tsunade's eyes widened. "That's a myth, the legendary eyes of the Sage of 6 Paths. Not a myth, very real, and very dangerous." Jiraiya's expression was grim. "I need to take Naruto on a training trip, ostensibly to help him control the 9 tails, but really to keep him away from Akatsuki until we understand their full capabilities." "Good luck with that," a voice said from the window, and both Sanin turned to see Naruto sitting on the sill, eating an apple. "I'm not running from a fight." "How long have you been there?" Jiraiya demanded. "Long enough to hear about your super secret plan to hide me from the big bad organization." Naruto took another bite of his apple. "Not happening, Arrow Sennin. I don't run, I don't hide, and I definitely don't let people fight my battles for me." "You don't understand. I understand perfectly." Naruto hopped down from the window. "You're scared. You've heard the stories about what I did at the Valley of the End, and you're worried that I'll draw too much attention. But here's the thing. I'm already the center of attention. Every village knows about me. Akatsuki knows about me. Hell, probably every missing 9 and mercenary group in the elemental nations knows about me by now." He walked over to the map and studied it. "So instead of running, let's do something productive. Let's go find these other Jinchūriki and warn them. Let's make sure Akatsuki can't just pick them off one by one. And if we happen to run into some Akatsuki members along the way," he grinned, "well, that's just a bonus." Jiraiya and Tsunade exchanged glances. "He has a point," Tsunade admitted. "Hiding Naruto won't stop Akatsuki from hunting the other Jinchūriki. And if we can establish a network of protection—" "It's suicide," Jiraiya interrupted. "You're talking about taking a 14-year-old into the path of an organization that's already captured 3-tailed beasts." "I'm a 14-year-old who happens to be the reincarnation of Son Wukong," Naruto corrected. "Big difference. And I'm going whether you come with me or not, so you might as well tag along and be useful." Jiraiya stared at him, then sighed heavily. "You're just like your father, stubborn, reckless, and completely convinced of your own invincibility." "Sounds about right." Naruto finished his apple and tossed the core out the window. "So when do we leave?" "Tomorrow morning." "And Naruto?" Jiraiya's expression turned serious. "If we do this, you follow my lead? I've been tracking Akatsuki for years. I know their patterns, their strategies. You may be powerful, but I have experience." "Deal." Naruto extended his hand, and they shook on it. "But just so we're clear, if things go sideways, I'm not holding back to protect your pride. I'll handle things my way." "I'd expect nothing less," Jiraiya muttered. They left the next morning, traveling first to Sunagakure to speak with Gaara of the desert, or rather, what was left of Sunagakure's Jinchūriki program after Akatsuki had extracted the one tail. Except when they arrived, they found Gaara alive. The young Kazekage stood at the gates of his village, his arms crossed and his expression calm. He'd survived the extraction somehow, had lived through what should have been certain death, and now ruled Sunagakure with the quiet authority of someone who'd faced the worst and emerged stronger. Naruto Uzumaki, Gaara greeted as they approached. I've heard stories about you, the great sage of Konoha, the boy who became a god. And I've heard about you, Naruto replied, the demon child who became a leader. How'd you survive the extraction? An old woman named Chiyo used a forbidden technique to transfer her life force to me. Gaara's eyes were distant. She died so I could live, so I could prove that a Jinchūriki can be more than a weapon. Sounds familiar. Naruto walked closer, his golden eyes studying Gaara with the intensity of someone seeing past the surface. You and I were the same in a lot of ways. Both of us carried demons. Both of us were hated by our villages. Both of us had to prove our worth through blood and sacrifice. We're not the same, Gaara said quietly. You chose your path. I stumbled onto mine through luck and the sacrifice of others. Choice, luck, it doesn't matter how you got here. What matters is what you do now. Naruto extended his hand. Akatsuki is hunting Jinchūriki. They already got your tailed beast. They'll come for mine eventually. I'm gathering allies, people who understand what it means to carry that burden. You in? Gaara looked at the extended hand for a long moment. Then he took it, his grip firm. I'm in. Their network grew over the next 6 months. Naruto and Jiraiya traveled from village to village, finding Jinchūriki and offering them protection, alliance, and understanding. Some accepted, others refused. But word spread that the Nine-Tails Jinchūriki was building something new. A coalition of those who'd been weapons transforming themselves into warriors. They met Killer B of Kumogakure, the Eight-Tails Jinchūriki who rapped his way through conversations and treated his tailed beast like a brother rather than a prisoner. Yo, great sage in the house, word to your mother. B greeted them with an exuberant grin. Heard you punked Itachi and Kisame, made him run away like cats from water. Naruto laughed. You're insane. I like you. Insane? Nah, just free. Got Juki as my partner, living life like it's meant to be. B launched into an impromptu rap about tailed beasts and freedom that was simultaneously terrible and endearing. Kurama, watching through Naruto's eyes, growled. This human is insufferable. He's honest, Naruto replied mentally. That's rare, especially among Jinchūriki. They trained together for 3 weeks, Naruto teaching B some of his techniques, modified for mortal use, and B showing Naruto how he and Juki had achieved perfect synchronization. It's all about respect, fool ya fool, B explained. Juki ain't my weapon, ain't my tool. He's my partner, my friend, my ace in the hole. Naruto watched as B and Juki switched control seamlessly, the Eight Tails taking over their shared body to demonstrate a technique before B reclaimed control without any visible strain. How long did it take you to get to this level? Naruto asked. Years, man, years, but worth every moment, every struggle, every fear. B grinned. You and Kurama could do the same if you're willing to put in the time and pain. That night, Naruto meditated in his mindscape, standing in the sewer-like corridors that represented his inner world. Kurama waited behind his cage, his 9 tails swaying lazily. You heard B and Juki, Naruto said. Perfect synchronization, complete trust. That's what we could have. We're not there yet, Kurama rumbled. You see me as a tool, a convenient chakra battery. Is that what you think? Naruto walked closer to the cage. Kurama, I've called you a partner from day one. I've never forced you to give me chakra. I've asked, and you've given it because it benefits both of us. That's not a tool relationship. That's a partnership. Words are cheap. Then let me prove it with actions. Naruto reached through the bars, the seal flickering but not stopping him, and placed his hand on one of Kurama's massive paws. I'm going to remove your cage, not because I think you'll behave, not because I need your cooperation, but because keeping you imprisoned is wrong. You're a living being, Kurama. You deserve freedom as much as anyone. The 9 tails stared at him, his red eyes wide. You can't be serious. The seal is designed to contain you, not imprison you. There's a difference. Naruto closed his eyes, and his consciousness sank deeper into the seal work that bound them together. The fourth Hokage designed this seal for cooperation, not domination. He wanted us to work together, so let's do that. Golden light flared through the mindscape. The bars of Kurama's cage bent, twisted, and melted away like wax under flame. The seal paper that had locked the gate dissolved into golden motes of light. And for the first time in 14 years, the nine-tailed fox stood in Naruto's mindscape, completely unrestrained. Kurama could have attacked, could have overwhelmed Naruto's consciousness and taken control of his body, could have rampaged through Konoha, destroying everything in his path. Instead, he sat down and stared at the place where his cage had been. "Why?" Kurama asked, his voice quiet. "Because you earned it," Naruto replied. "You've been a good partner, Kurama. You've given me chakra when I needed it. You've offered advice when I asked. You've respected our agreement, so I'm respecting you in return. No more cages, no more imprisonment. Just two beings sharing the same space, working toward the same goals." "I don't understand you, Kit." But there was something like warmth in Kurama's voice now. 500 years ago, you were the great sage who challenged heaven. Now you're a 14-year-old boy who treats his tailed beast like an equal. Which one is the real you? Both. Neither. Does it matter? Naruto grinned. I'm whoever I need to be in the moment. Right now, I'm your partner. Tomorrow, I might be the great sage again. The day after that, just a kid eating ramen. I contain multitudes, as they say. You're insane. So I've been told. Naruto stood up. But I'm your particular brand of insane, so you're stuck with me. Deal with it. As he rose back through the layers of consciousness to the waking world, he heard Kurama's rumbling laughter following him up. For the first time since their partnership began, it sounded genuine. The attack on Konoha came on a clear autumn day when Naruto was 16 years old. He'd been away on a mission to the Land of Iron, negotiating with the samurai about trade routes and political alliances, when he felt it. A massive disruption in the natural chakra of the world, centered on his home village. He used the cloud somersault to return, covering the distance in 3 leaps, and arrived to find Konoha in ruins. Buildings were destroyed. Civilians were fleeing. And in the center of the devastation stood 6 figures, each wearing black cloaks with red clouds, each with orange hair and the Rinnegan gleaming in their eyes. The 6 paths of pain had arrived. Naruto landed in the middle of the village square, his golden eyes taking in the destruction with growing fury. You destroyed my village, he said, his voice carrying across the ruins despite being barely above a whisper. You hurt my people. You attacked my home. The Deva path, the primary body, controlled directly by the real Nagato, stepped forward. Naruto Uzumaki, 9 Tails Jinchūriki, you will come with us, or we will continue to destroy this village until nothing remains. That's your ultimatum? Naruto pulled out the needle from behind his ear. You really should have done more research before attacking, Pain, because I'm about to teach you the most important lesson you'll ever learn. What lesson is that? You don't threaten the great sage's companions. Naruto extended the Ruyi Jingu Bang in 6 directions simultaneously, not growing it longer, but creating 6 individual extensions that shot out like golden spears from a central point. Each extension struck one of the 6 paths of pain, piercing through their bodies with divine iron that cared nothing for the Rinnegan's abilities. The animal path tried to summon creatures to defend itself. The staff extension punched through the summoning before it completed, sending the body flying into a building. The Asura path transformed into a mechanical nightmare of weapons and armor. The staff extension simply crashed through all of it, treating advanced weaponry like paper. The human path reached out to extract Naruto's soul. The staff extension struck it before it got within 10 feet, and the indestructible Vajra body ensured the soul-stealing technique had nothing to grab onto anyway. The Prita path tried to absorb the staff's chakra. It screamed as divine power flooded into it, power that was never meant for mortal bodies to contain, and exploded in a shower of blood and metal. The Naraka path summoned the King of Hell to restore the fallen bodies. Naruto's staff extension simply grew larger and crushed both the summon and the summoner simultaneously. In 3 seconds, 5 of the 6 paths of pain were destroyed. Only the Deva path remained, floating above the village on a platform of repulsive force, and for the first time, uncertainty flickered across its Rinnegan eyes. Impossible, Pain said. The Rinnegan should give me dominion over all. The Rinnegan gives you dominion over chakra, Naruto interrupted, shrinking his staff back down. I'm not bound by chakra. I'm powered by divine essence that existed before your Sage of Six Paths was even born. Your eyes might be legendary, Pain, but they're still just mortal tools. And I'm beyond mortality. He used the cloud somersault to appear directly in front of the Deva path, moving so fast that even the Rinnegan couldn't track him. Shinra Tensei! The repulsive force exploded outward, strong enough to level mountains, designed to push everything away from the user with irresistible power. Naruto didn't move. His indestructible Vajra body absorbed the attack like a sponge absorbing water. The force that should have destroyed him simply washed over his skin and dispersed harmlessly. My turn, he said, and grabbed the Deva path by the throat. Cloud somersault! He leaped, carrying the struggling body with him, crossing the village in a single bound and landing in the forest outside Konoha's walls. He used the technique twice more, moving so fast that the landscape blurred until they stood in a crater far from any civilians. Then he dropped the Deva path and stepped back. Show yourself, Naruto commanded. I know you're controlling these bodies remotely, Nagato. I can see the chakra rods connecting them to your real body. Come out and face me properly, or I'll follow these connections back to you and drag you out. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the trees parted, and a figure emerged, emaciated, pale, covered in black chakra receivers, sitting in a mechanical wheelchair. Nagato Uzumaki, the true Pain, revealed himself with his student Konan standing protectively beside him. You can see through everything, Nagato said, his voice weak but steady. Even the secret of my six paths technique. Fiery golden eyes. I told you, I see truth. Naruto studied the broken man before him. You're dying. Whatever power the Rinnegan gives you, it's consuming you from the inside, and you're using it to collect tailed beasts. Why? To create a weapon, Nagato replied. A weapon so powerful that all nations will fear it, and through that fear, peace will be achieved. Peace through fear. Naruto's laugh was bitter. That's the dumbest plan I've ever heard. And I once heard a plan to achieve immortality by eating nothing but peaches for 10,000 years. You mock me? I'm mocking your logic. Peace through fear isn't peace. It's oppression. It's forcing people to behave because they're afraid of the consequences, not because they choose to cooperate. And the moment your weapon falters, the moment someone finds a way to overcome it, all that peace collapses into war again. Naruto walked closer, his golden eyes sad rather than angry. I've lived a long time, Nagato. 500 years under a mountain gave me plenty of time to think about peace and war and what it means to coexist with others. You want to know what I learned? What? Peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the choice to resolve conflict without hatred. It's people looking at their enemies and deciding that understanding is more valuable than revenge. You can't force that with weapons. You can only inspire it through actions. Pretty words, Nagato said, but his voice was uncertain now. But you don't know what I've suffered, what I've lost. I was a child when my parents were killed by Konoha ninja. I've watched friends die in wars created by the very people who claim to want peace. The shinobi system is broken, and it needs to be destroyed to be rebuilt. So you decided to become the destroyer. Naruto's expression was understanding. I get it. I really do. When Buddha trapped me under that mountain, I spent the first 50 years planning how I'd make them all pay, how I'd burn heaven to ash and make the gods regret ever crossing me. But you know what I realized? He sat down cross-legged in front of Nagato, looking up at the broken man with gentle eyes. Revenge doesn't heal wounds, it just creates new ones. And trying to fix the world by breaking it further is like trying to heal a broken bone by smashing it into smaller pieces. It doesn't work, Nagato. All you're doing is spreading more pain. Then what do you suggest? Nagato's voice was barely a whisper. How do we achieve peace in a world built on violence? One person at a time, one choice at a time, one act of kindness that breaks the cycle. Naruto stood up. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's quick, but it's the only way that actually works. You want to change the world? Start by changing yourself. Stop collecting tailed beasts, stop destroying villages, stop trying to force peace through fear, and start showing people that a better way is possible. I've gone too far, Nagato said, his voice breaking. I've killed too many people, done too much damage. There's no redemption for me. Says who? Naruto's grin returned. I trashed the celestial palace, ate the peaches of immortality, and generally made heaven's life miserable for decades. But I still achieved enlightenment. I still became a Buddha. Redemption isn't about erasing your past, Nagato. It's about choosing a better future despite it. Tears were streaming down Nagato's face now, his Rinnegan eyes wide with something that might have been hope. What would you have me do? First, use that fancy Rinnegan technique to revive everyone you killed in Konoha. I know you can do it. I can see the technique in your chakra. It'll probably kill you, but that's the price of redemption sometimes. And second, trust that the next generation will do better. Trust that people like me, like Naruto Uzumaki, the kid whose body I'm borrowing, will find a way to create the peace you wanted but couldn't achieve. Trust that your death will mean something. Nagato stared at him for a long moment. Then he closed his eyes and began forming hand seals. Rinne Rebirth! Golden light exploded from his body as the Rinnegan's most forbidden technique activated. Across Konoha, the dead began to stir. Those killed in Pain's invasion, crushed under buildings, caught in explosions, struck down by the Six Paths, opened their eyes and gasped for breath. Jiraiya, who died fighting Pain in the Land of Rain, woke up in the village morgue with confusion and wonder. Kakashi, who'd exhausted himself protecting the village and died from chakra depletion, sat up on his funeral pyre with a cough. Shizune, crushed under a building, crawled out from the rubble alive and whole. Every life taken by Pain's attack was restored, traded for the life of the man who'd killed them. Nagato slumped in his wheelchair, his breathing shallow, his eyes beginning to dim. Thank you, he whispered to Naruto, for showing me another way. He died with a smile on his face, and Konan, who'd watched the entire conversation in silence, knelt beside him with tears streaming down her face. He was a good man, she said quietly. He just lost his way. Most good people do, Naruto replied. That's why they need friends to remind them who they are. He looked at her. What will you do now? I'll take his body back to the Land of Rain. We had a village there, a group of orphans who believed in his dream. They deserve to know how he died. She looked up at Naruto with paper wings beginning to form on her back. Will you stop me? No, but I'll give you some advice. Don't follow his path. Find your own way to peace. And if you need help, you know where to find me. Konan nodded, gathered Nagato's body, and vanished in a flurry of paper butterflies. Naruto stood alone in the crater for a moment, then used the cloud somersault to return to Konoha. He arrived to find the village celebrating. People who'd been dead minutes ago were embracing their families. Buildings were still destroyed, but life had been restored. And in the center of it all, Tsunade stood with tears streaming down her face, overwhelmed by the impossible miracle. Naruto. She saw him and immediately grabbed him in a crushing hug. What did you do? How did you convince Pain to... I talked to him, Naruto replied simply. Showed him that revenge and fear aren't the answer. He chose redemption. By sacrificing his own life to restore ours. Tsunade pulled back, her expression awed. That's incredible. That's what happens when broken people are given the chance to heal. Naruto looked around at the celebrating villagers. He was a good man who made terrible choices, but in the end, he chose to fix his mistakes. That's all any of us can do. The celebration lasted 3 days, and when it ended, Tsunade called Naruto to her office. The village council wants to make you Hokage, she said without preamble. Naruto blinked. What? You saved the village. You defeated Pain. You convinced him to revive everyone he killed. The people see you as a hero, Naruto. They want you to lead. Then the people are idiots. Naruto crossed his arms. I'm not leader material, Bachin. I'm the great sage equal to heaven. I'm meant to be free, to wander, to help where I'm needed, not to sit in an office signing paperwork and dealing with politics. But, no buts. I'm not doing it. Naruto's tone was firm. Find someone else. Someone who actually wants the job. Kakashi would be good. He's got the experience and the temperament. Or hell, make Shikamaru do it. Kid's smart enough to handle the administrative stuff. You're seriously refusing the position of Hokage? I'm seriously refusing to be caged by responsibility that doesn't suit me. Naruto stood up. I'll always protect this village, Tsunade. It's my home. These are my people. But I'll do it my way, as a wandering guardian, not a stationary leader. That's who I am. That's who I've always been. Tsunade stared at him for a long moment, then sighed. You're just like Jiraiya, too free-spirited to be tied down. And you love us for it, Naruto grinned. Get out of my office before I change my mind about letting you refuse. Naruto left, whistling a tune from his journey to the west, completely unbothered by having turned down the most prestigious position in the village. Behind him, Tsunade smiled despite herself. Some people were born to lead, others were born to inspire, and Naruto Uzumaki was definitely the latter. The Five Kage Summit was called 6 months later, triggered by increasing tensions between villages and the need to address the Akatsuki threat now that Pain was dead. Danzo Shimura, the leader of Root and a member of Konoha's council, used Tsunade's temporary incapacitation during Pain's invasion as justification to name himself acting Hokage. He arrived at the summit with his bodyguards and his ambitions, fully intending to position Konoha as the dominant village through political maneuvering and veiled threats. What he didn't expect was for Naruto Uzumaki to show up. The great sage appeared in the middle of the summit hall via cloud somersault, his golden mist dissipating to reveal him standing on the conference table with his hands in his pockets and his eyes gleaming with anticipation. Sorry I'm late, Naruto said cheerfully. Had to stop by Konoha first to confirm something. Danzo, or should I say, the man with 11 Sharingan implanted in his arm and one in his eye socket, you want to explain why you're pretending to be Hokage when Tsunade is still alive? The entire room exploded into chaos. The Raikage stood up, lightning chakra crackling around his body. You dare interrupt this summit? I dare plenty of things. Naruto didn't even look at him. Sit down, Raikage, I'll get to you in a minute. Right now, I'm talking to the walking war crime in the Konoha delegation. Danzo's visible eye narrowed. You have no authority here, boy. I have the authority of being stronger than everyone in this room combined, Naruto replied. I have the authority of having saved Konoha from Pain's invasion while you were hiding in your bunker. And I have the authority of my eyes that see through every lie you've ever told. He hopped down from the table and walked toward Danzo, his golden eyes blazing. You killed Shisui Uchiha and stole his eye. You helped orchestrate the Uchiha massacre by refusing to negotiate. You've been using Root to conduct illegal operations and human experimentation. You implanted Hashirama Senju's cells in your arm to control the Sharingan you stole from dead Uchiha. And you were planning to use this summit to position yourself as the permanent Hokage while eliminating anyone who might oppose you. Danzo's hand moved toward the bandages covering his arm. Naruto's staff extended and slapped his hand away before he could complete the motion. Don't even think about it, Naruto warned. You reach for those Sharingan again and I'll remove the arm entirely. With my staff, through your shoulder, messily. This is outrageous! The Tsuchikage stood up, floating on his Earth-style technique. You cannot come into a diplomatic summit and make accusations. They're not accusations. They're facts. Naruto's eyes flashed gold, and suddenly every person in the room could perceive through his fiery golden eyes the truth of Danzo's crimes. The stolen Sharingan pulsed with dark chakra. The Hashirama cells writhed under his skin like parasites. The blood of countless victims stained his soul like ink. The revelation lasted only a second, but it was enough. The Mizukage gasped. The Kazekage's sand began to swirl protectively. Even the Raikage looked disgusted. You. The Raikage's voice was dangerous. You've been stealing bloodline limits. That's an act of war. It was for Konoha's protection, Danzo began. It was for your ambition, Naruto interrupted. You wanted power. You wanted control. You thought the Sharingan would make you unstoppable. But you know what your biggest mistake was? What? Thinking that stolen power is the same as earned power. Naruto extended his staff and pressed it gently against Danzo's chest. I could kill you right now. One push, and this staff goes through your heart. No one in this room could stop me. No one would even try, now that they know what you are. But I'm not going to kill you. He pulled the staff back. I'm going to do something worse. I'm going to let you live with the knowledge that you failed. That all your schemes, all your sacrifices, all your stolen power amounted to nothing. Because I'm taking you back to Konoha, and Tsunade is going to strip you of your position, disband Root, and make sure everyone knows exactly what you did. You'll spend the rest of your life in prison, Danzo. Powerless, forgotten, irrelevant. You can't, I can, and I will. Naruto grabbed Danzo by the collar and summoned his cloud. But first, I need to address something else. Someone attacked this summit. Someone was planning to kill all 5 Kage and start another war. And I'm betting it was your doing, Danzo, because you're just that predictable. He looked at the doorway, where a figure had just appeared. Sasuke Uchiha stood there, his eternal Mangekyo sharing and activated, his body crackling with lightning and murder in his eyes. Danzo Shimura, Sasuke said, his voice cold. You helped kill my clan. You used my brother. You manipulated everything, and now you're going to die. Sasuke, Naruto said tiredly. We talked about this. You told me to get revenge on the people responsible. Danzo is responsible. Yeah, he is, but killing him won't bring your clan back. It won't heal your pain. It'll just make you a murderer and give this summit an excuse to declare war on Konoha. Naruto stepped between Sasuke and Danzo. You want justice? Fine. We'll take him back to Konoha and make him face trial. Public trial, where everyone can see what he did and judge him accordingly. That's real justice, Sasuke, not assassination in a summit hall. He doesn't deserve a trial. Nobody deserves anything, Naruto interrupted. The world doesn't work on deserves. It works on choices. And right now you're choosing between revenge and justice. One makes you a hero. The other makes you exactly like him. He pointed at Danzo with his staff. So what's it going to be, Uchiha? Sasuke's Mangekyo spun, his emotions warring across his face. Then slowly, his lightning chakra dissipated. Fine, he said through gritted teeth. We'll do it your way. Smart choice. Naruto turned back to the 5 Kage, who'd watched the entire exchange in stunned silence. Now about this summit. You're here to discuss the Akatsuki threat, right? Well, good news. Their leader is dead. Pain is gone. His organization is falling apart. The remaining members are scattered and weakened. You're welcome. You? The Mizukage found her voice. You killed Pain? Nah, I convinced him to kill himself by using Rinna Rebirth to revive everyone he'd killed. Naruto grinned. Redemption through sacrifice. Very poetic. Anyway, the Akatsuki is basically done. A few stragglers might still be out there, but the main threat is neutralized. And we're supposed to just take your word for this? The Tsuchikage's voice was skeptical. You can take my word, or you can send scouts to verify. Either way, the result is the same. Naruto shrugged. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a war criminal to deliver and a teammate to keep from doing something stupid. Have fun with your politics. He grabbed both Danzo and Sasuke and used the cloud somersault to vanish, leaving the 5 Kage sitting in stunned silence. Finally, the Raikage spoke. What the hell just happened? The great sage happened, Gaara replied, the only Kage who'd actually met Naruto before. He does this, shows up, solves problems in the most chaotic way possible, and leaves before anyone can properly thank him or yell at him. I don't like it, the Tsuchikage grumbled. One person having that much power is dangerous. One person having that much power and using it responsibly is a miracle, the Mizukage corrected. Did you see what he could have done? He could have killed all of us, could have destroyed this entire building, could have declared war on every village simultaneously. Instead, he exposed a war criminal, stopped an assassination, and gave us information about Akatsuki. I'd say we got lucky. Lucky that he's on our side, the Raikage muttered. For now, but what happens when he decides we're the enemy? No one had an answer for that. In Konoha, Danzo's trial lasted 3 days and ended with a life sentence in prison. Root was disbanded. Its members were given the choice to integrate into regular Anbu or retire. The Sharingan were removed from Danzo's body and returned to the Uchiha clan, specifically to Sasuke. As the last surviving member, Sasuke stood in the Uchiha compound, holding the jar containing his clan's stolen eyes, and felt nothing but emptiness. It doesn't make it better, he said to Naruto, who'd accompanied him. Having them back doesn't undo what was done. No, it doesn't, Naruto agreed. But it gives you a choice about what to do next. You can bury them with honor, you can preserve them as a memorial, or you can move forward and build something new. Whatever you choose, it's your choice. Not Danzo's, not the village's, yours. Sasuke looked at his friend because that's what Naruto was despite everything. His friend, his companion, his brother in all but blood. What would you do? Sasuke asked. I'd probably do something dramatic and symbolic, knowing me. Naruto grinned. Like build a memorial that honors both the Uchiha who died and Itachi who sacrificed everything. Show the world that the Uchiha clan wasn't destroyed, it was transformed. That out of tragedy came understanding. That you, Sasuke Uchiha, chose a different path than revenge. That sounds exhausting. Most meaningful things are. Naruto clapped him on the shoulder. But you don't have to decide today. Take your time. Figure out who you want to be. And when you're ready, I'll help you build whatever future you choose. Sasuke nodded slowly. Then, surprising both himself and Naruto, he smiled. Thanks, Naruto, for everything. That's what companions do, Naruto replied. We help each other figure out this mess called life. The Fourth Shinobi World War began with a declaration that echoed across the elemental nations, Obito Uchiha, calling himself Madara and wearing a mask that concealed his true identity, stood before a gathering of representatives from every major village and announced his intention to capture all remaining tailed beasts, revive the Ten Tails, and cast the entire world into an eternal genjutsu called the Infinite Tsukuyomi. True peace can only be achieved through dreams, Obito proclaimed. In the dream world, there is no war, no death, no suffering. Everyone lives in perfect happiness, crafted from their deepest desires. That is the world I will create. The villages refused. The allied shinobi forces were formed, 80,000 ninja from 5 nations united against a common threat. And at the center of it all, both as target and defender, stood Naruto Uzumaki. They want you to hide, Kakashi said, standing in Tsunade's office alongside the other Jonin commanders. The allied forces want to protect you by keeping you away from the battlefield. If Obito or Madara or whoever he really is can't capture you, he can't complete the Ten Tails. Absolutely not, Naruto said flatly. I'm not hiding while my friends fight my battles. That's not who I am. That's not who I've ever been. You're the most valuable target. I'm the most powerful piece on the board, Naruto interrupted. And keeping me off the field is like playing chess without your queen. It's strategically idiotic. The risk is mine to take. Naruto stood up, his golden eyes blazing with determination. I didn't survive 500 years under a mountain just to hide in a bunker while the world goes to war. I'm fighting. Deal with it. Tsunade and Kakashi exchanged glances, then sighed in unison. Fine, Tsunade said, but you're not going alone. You'll be assigned to the most critical battlefield, and you'll have support. Don't need it, but sure. Naruto grinned. When do we start? Tomorrow at dawn. The war began with massive armies clashing across multiple battlefields, white Zetsu clones by the thousands, reanimated ninja brought back through Edo Tensei, and at the forefront of the enemy forces, the most dangerous opponents the allied forces had ever faced. Naruto created 10,000 hair clones and sent them across all 5 battlefields simultaneously. On the first battlefield, his clones fought alongside the Surprise Attack Division, using the Ruyi Jingu Bang to sweep through entire battalions of white Zetsu like a farmer harvesting wheat. On the second battlefield, they supported the mid-range battle division, using Cloud Somersault to move faster than the enemy could track and disrupting their formations. On the third battlefield, they protected the short-range battle division, using their indestructible Vajra bodies to tank attacks meant for their allies and counterattacking with overwhelming force. On the fourth battlefield, they assisted the long-range battle division, extending their staffs to maximum length to strike at enemies hundreds of meters away. And on the fifth battlefield, the most critical, where the strongest opponents had gathered, the original Naruto stood alone, facing the reanimated members of Akatsuki. Deidara hovered on his clay bird, already forming explosive clay. Art is an explosion, yeah! Sasori emerged from his puppet body, his collection of 100-puppet armies spreading across the battlefield. How nostalgic, fighting the brat who ruined my plans in Wave Country. Kakuzu's masks floated around him, each one representing a different elemental heart. 5 hearts. You'll need to kill me 5 times to win. Hidan swung his scythe eagerly, his Joshin religious symbols glowing. Finally, a sacrifice worthy of Joshin-sama. Naruto looked at them all and grinned. "You guys are the warm-up act?" He pulled out his staff. "Disappointing. I was hoping for someone challenging." "Arrogant brat." Deidara released a swarm of explosive clay birds. "C2 dragon!" The dragon dove toward Naruto, its body packed with enough explosive power to level a small village. Naruto extended the Ruyi Jingu Bang horizontally and spun it like a propeller. The staff moved so fast it created a wind barrier that caught the clay dragon mid-flight and sent it spiraling into the air, where it exploded harmlessly above the clouds. "Next," Naruto called out. Sasori's 100-puppet army attacked as one, each puppet armed with poison and hidden weapons. Naruto created 100 hair clones, one for each puppet, and ordered them to dismantle the army piece by piece. Within 30 seconds, the battlefield was littered with broken puppet parts. Next, Kakuzu's masks attacked simultaneously, each one launching a different elemental technique: fire, lightning, wind, water, and earth, all converging on Naruto's position. He used his 72 earthly transformations to become a massive iron statue, his Vajra body amplified to the size of a building. The elemental attacks crashed against his transformed form and dispersed harmlessly. Then he transformed back and pointed his staff at Kakuzu. "Ruyi Jingu Bang, extend!" The staff shot forward and pierced through all 5 of Kakuzu's hearts in a single strike, destroying the immortal ninja before he could react. Next, Hidan charged forward, his scythe swinging. "I'll draw your blood and perform my ritual," and Naruto caught the scythe mid-swing with one hand, his Vajra body preventing the blade from even scratching his skin. "Your immortality comes from Jashin," he said, looking at Hidan with eyes that saw truth. "A minor death god who grants power in exchange for sacrificial rituals. Cute, but I've met the actual king of hell, and he owes me a favor for not destroying his domain. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to sever your connection to Jashin, and you're going to become very mortal very quickly." His eyes flashed gold, and divine power surged through the connection between Hidan and his god. Jashin, sensing something far more powerful than himself trying to interfere, immediately severed the connection to avoid confrontation. Hidan's immortality vanished. Naruto flicked the scythe, and the blade, now operating under normal physical laws, cut clean through Hidan's neck. The Akatsuki member's head hit the ground with a dull thump, his immortality gone, his threat neutralized. "Too easy," Naruto muttered, looking around at the defeated enemies. "Come on, where's the real challenge?" As if in answer to his question, the ground beneath the 5th battlefield began to shake, and Madara Uchiha, the real Madara, reanimated through Edo Tensei at full power, descended from the sky like a meteor, his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan blazing. Finally, Madara said, landing with enough force to crater the earth, "Someone worth fighting." Naruto grinned, his golden eyes reflecting his excitement. "Now we're talking." The battle between Naruto Uzumaki and Madara Uchiha lasted 3 hours and devastated the entire 5th battlefield. Madara opened with perfect Susanoo, a massive humanoid avatar of chakra wearing samurai armor and wielding twin katanas, each blade the size of a mountain. Naruto countered with the Ruyi Jingu Bang at maximum size, extending the staff until it matched the Susanoo's height, then using it as a lever to flip the entire construct onto its back. Madara emerged from the fallen Susanoo and activated his Rinnegan, stolen from Nagato's corpse, and summoned meteors from the sky. Naruto used Cloud's somersault to reach the meteors before they could impact, then extended his staff to push them back into orbit, treating planetary bodies like baseballs. "Impressive," Madara laughed, his voice filled with genuine excitement. "You're not just powerful, you're skilled. But let's see how you handle this, Limbo, border jail." Invisible shadows split from Madara's body, limbo clones that existed in a dimension between life and death, invisible and intangible to normal senses, capable of attacking without being detected. Naruto's fiery golden eyes saw them immediately. 72 earthly transformations, multiplied form. He transformed himself into 4 separate bodies, each one a perfect physical copy, each one capable of independent action. His divided forms engaged Madara's limbo clones directly, fighting invisible opponents with precise strikes that proved he could perceive what others couldn't. "You can see them." Madara's eyes widened. "Impossible! Even the Sage of 6 Paths could barely perceive limbo." "I'm not the Sage of 6 Paths," Naruto replied, his 4 bodies speaking in unison. I'm something older, something that existed before your precious ninja arts were even created, and I'm about to show you what that means. He merged his 4 bodies back into one, and his presence exploded outward. This was Naruto unleashing his full divine power, not as a threat, not as intimidation, but as pure, overwhelming force. The air itself began to shimmer. Reality wavered. The dimensions that Madara's limbo technique relied on started to collapse under the weight of power that transcended mortal limits. "What are you?" Madara demanded, his Rinnegan spinning desperately as he tried to comprehend what he was sensing. "I'm the great sage, equal to heaven," Naruto roared, and his voice shook the heavens themselves. "I'm son Wukong, who fought the entire celestial army. I'm the Monkey King who ate the peaches of immortality. I'm the being who achieved enlightenment and became Buddha. And you, Madara Uchiha, are just a ghost clinging to old dreams." He pulled out the Ruyi Jingu Bang and pointed it at Madara like a spear. "Ruyi Jingu Bang, pierce the heavens!" The staff extended not forward but upward, shooting into the sky so fast it became a golden beam of light. It punched through clouds, through the atmosphere, through the very fabric of space itself, until it reached the pure void between dimensions. Then it came back down. The divine iron descended like the fist of God, aimed directly at Madara with enough force to shatter continents. The Uchiha tried to dodge using Kamui, his space-time technique that should have made him intangible. The Ruyi Jingu Bang didn't care about intangibility. It existed in all dimensions simultaneously when Naruto wielded it, and no amount of space-time manipulation could avoid something that occupied every possible position at once. The staff struck Madara dead center and drove him into the earth with cataclysmic force. When the dust cleared, Madara Uchiha lay in a crater 50 meters deep, his Edo Tensei body cracking and reforming desperately as it tried to repair the damage. Naruto descended on his golden cloud and looked down at the legendary ninja. "You were good," he said honestly. "Really good. If I were just Naruto Uzumaki, you probably would have won. But I'm not just Naruto. I'm the culmination of lifetimes of power, experience, and wisdom. You never stood a chance." Madara laughed, a broken, defeated sound. "I wanted to create a perfect world, a world without war, without suffering, and I failed. You failed because you tried to force peace instead of inspiring it," Naruto replied. "But you know what? Your failure taught the next generation. Taught me, taught Sasuke, taught everyone watching this battle. So maybe your legacy isn't the perfect world you wanted. Maybe it's the imperfect world you helped create by showing us what not to do." He extended his hand. "Rest now, Madara. Your war is over." Before Madara could respond, his body began to move against his will. Black Zetsu, the ancient manifestation of Kaguya's will, emerged from Madara's chest and took control, overriding the Edo Tensei binding. "Finally!" Zetsu's voice was gleeful. After thousands of years, after manipulating the entire Uchiha clan, after orchestrating every war, Mother will be reborn. The Ten Tails, already partially revived by Obito using the chakra of 7-tailed beasts, began to pulse with new power. Madara's body was absorbed into the beast, becoming its new Jinchūriki against his will, and from that fusion, something ancient and terrible began to emerge. Kaguya Akatsuki, the mother of chakra, the progenitor of all ninja arts, manifested in physical form for the first time in millennia. She was beautiful and terrifying, pale skin, pure white eyes with Byakugan and Rinnegan merged, 2 horns protruding from her head, and an aura of power that made even Naruto pause. "Finally," Kaguya said, her voice echoing with the weight of eternity, "freedom. And you," she looked at Naruto with eyes that saw beyond mortal perception, "you are not of this world. You are something other." "I'm son Wukong," Naruto replied, pulling out his staff. "And you're about to learn why that's a problem for you." Kaguya attacked. She didn't use techniques, didn't form hand seals, didn't waste time with strategy. She simply reached out with her hand and reality shifted. Naruto found himself in a dimension of pure ice, a frozen wasteland where the temperature was absolute zero and normal matter couldn't exist. His indestructible Vajra body protected him, his divine nature preventing the cold from affecting him. He used Cloud Somersault to escape the dimension, but Kaguya shifted reality again before he could complete the technique. Now they were in a dimension of lava, where molten rock rained from the sky and the ground itself was liquid fire. Again, his Vajra body protected him. Again, he tried to escape. Again, Kaguya shifted dimensions. Gravity dimension, acid dimension, void dimension. She cycled through her personal realms faster than Naruto could track, trying to find one that would actually harm him. None of them worked. "You're adapting," Kaguya said, and there was something like respect in her voice. "No matter what environment I create, your body adjusts. You're not mortal. What are you?" "I told you. I'm Son Wukong." Naruto grinned despite the situation. "And I've got a trick you haven't seen yet. Ruyi Jingu Bang, dimensional cage." He extended his staff not in one direction, but in every direction simultaneously. The divine iron split into countless extensions that punched through the barriers between Kaguya's dimensions, creating a cage that existed in all her realms at once. For the first time since her revival, Kaguya looked uncertain. She tried to shift dimensions, but the cage moved with her. Tried to destroy the staff, but divine iron couldn't be broken by mortal or even divine techniques. Tried to use her all-killing ash bones, her ultimate technique that could destroy anything it touched. The bones shattered against Naruto's Vajra body like twigs against steel. "Impossible," Kaguya whispered. "You survived in the trigram furnace. You have the indestructible Vajra body. You wield divine iron. You are Son Wukong, the great sage, the Monkey King who challenged heaven itself." Finally, someone who knows their mythology. Naruto walked forward through the cage he'd created, his golden eyes fixed on Kaguya. "You're powerful, probably the strongest opponent I've faced in this life, but you made a critical mistake." "What mistake?" "You assumed that because you created chakra, you're the ultimate power in this world. But chakra is just energy, and I've been powered by something older and stronger than chakra since before your clan even came to this planet. You can't beat me, Kaguya. You can only choose how you want to lose. Then I choose to take you with me." Kaguya's Rin Sharingan opened on her forehead, and reality itself began to collapse. Infinite Tsukuyomi. The ultimate Genjutsu flooded outward, washing across the entire world, trapping every living being in an eternal dream crafted from their deepest desires. Except Naruto. His fiery golden eyes saw through the illusion before it even touched him. Divine perception couldn't be fooled by mortal or even god-level Genjutsu. But his companions weren't as protected. Through the dimensions, Naruto could sense Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi, even Kurama, being caught in the infinite Tsukuyomi, their consciousness trapped in perfect dreams while their bodies became part of the god tree that Kaguya was growing to harvest all chakra. "No," Naruto said, and his voice was cold fury. "You don't get to do that." He extended the Ruyi Jingu Bang again, but this time he didn't create a cage, he created a key. The staff split into thousands of extensions, each one perfectly sized to fit into the chakra pathways of every person caught in the infinite Tsukuyomi. The divine iron connected to their systems and acted as a conduit, channeling Naruto's power that couldn't be trapped by illusions. Directly into their Mai-1, people began to wake up. Sasuke first, his Rinnegan reacting to divine chakra flowing through him. Then Sakura, her seal from Tsunade resonating with the power. Then Kakashi, his Sharingan seeing through the illusion with Naruto's help. Across the world, the infinite Tsukuyomi began to fail. "Impossible!" Kaguya screamed. "The infinite Tsukuyomi is absolute. No one can break free." "No one can," Naruto agreed. "But I'm not just one person. I'm 10,000 hair clones spread across the world, each one connected to my divine essence, each one acting as a beacon to wake people from your dream. You tried to trap an entire world, Kaguya, but you forgot that I am a world unto myself." His presence exploded outward one final time, and this wasn't intimidation or demonstration. This was Naruto releasing every ounce of power he'd accumulated across lifetimes. The weight of 500 years under a mountain converted into pressure that could crush mountains. The heat of 49 days in the trigram furnace manifested as flames that couldn't burn but could purify anything they touched. The authority of Buddha himself, achieved through enlightenment and carried across incarnations, all of it focused on a single target, Kaguya Otsutsuki, the mother of chakra, the progenitor goddess, the being who created ninja arts, fell to her knees. "How?" she whispered. "How can you have this much power?" "Because I earned it," Naruto replied. "Every technique, every ability, every ounce of strength. I fought for it, bled for it, died for it, and came back stronger. You were born powerful, Kaguya. You never had to struggle. You never had to grow. You just took and took and took, and when people resisted, you crushed them. He walked forward until he stood directly in front of her. But power without wisdom is just destruction. Strength without compassion is just tyranny. You could have been a god worth worshiping, Kaguya. Instead, you became a cautionary tale. What will you do to me? I'm not going to kill you. You're too important. You're the origin of chakra, and destroying you might destroy chakra itself. But I am going to seal you away, properly this time, with help. The dimensions shifted one final time, and Naruto found himself standing alongside Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi, Team 7 reunited. But they weren't alone. The ghost of Hagoromo Otsutsuki, the sage of six paths himself, materialized beside them. You've done well, Naruto Uzumaki. Son Wukong, great sage equal to heaven. You've accomplished what even I could not. You've overcome my mother through strength and wisdom. About time you showed up, Naruto said. Got a sealing technique for me? I do, but it requires all of you working together. Hagoromo looked at Team 7. My mother is beyond any single power, but together with the six paths chakra I'm lending you, you can seal her permanently. He touched Naruto and Sasuke, and divine power flowed into them, the yang and yin aspects of his six paths chakra, amplifying their natural abilities to god level. Now, Hagoromo commanded, seal her! Team 7 moved as one. Naruto extended the Ruyi Jingu Bang through all dimensions, creating a cage that Kaguya couldn't escape. Sasuke activated his Rinnegan and used it to create portals that connected all of Kaguya's dimensions to a single point. Sakura, enhanced by her 100 healing seal, struck the ground with enough force to anchor Kaguya in place. And Kakashi, using his perfect Susanoo granted temporarily by Obito's ghost, created the framework for the seal itself. Together, with Hagoromo's power backing them, they performed the six paths Shibaku Tensei, the ultimate sealing technique that created a moon around the target, trapping them in perfect stasis. Kaguya Otsutsuki screamed as the seal activated, her body being encased in stone and earth and divine power, compressed into a sphere that hung in the sky like a second moon. Sleep now, mother, Hagoromo said sadly, until the world is wise enough to face you properly. The seal completed, the infinite Tsukuyomi dissolved completely, the god tree withered and died, and the fourth shinobi world war ended not with a bang, but with exhausted relief. Naruto stood on the battlefield, surrounded by his companions, his staff resting on his shoulder, and allowed himself a moment of pure exhaustion. We did it, Sakura said, her voice barely a whisper. We did, Kakashi agreed. It's finally over, Sasuke added, his Rinnegan fading back to his normal Sharingan. Over? Naruto laughed. This is just the beginning. The war is over, sure, but now comes the hard part, rebuilding, making sure this doesn't happen again. Creating a world where kids don't have to fight because the previous generation couldn't figure out how to live in peace. He looked at his teammates, his companions, his family in all but blood. But we'll do it together. That's what Team 7 does. We face impossible challenges and make them possible. Around them, the allied shinobi forces began to gather, their cheers rising as they realized the war was truly over. The great sage had saved the world. Again. The aftermath of the Fourth Shinobi World War lasted months. Villages were rebuilt. Alliances were formalized. The tailed beasts, freed from the god tree and no longer needed as weapons, were offered a choice: remain with their former containers as partners or live freely in the wild. Most chose partnership. Kurama chose to stay with Naruto, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. You're the only human who treated me like an equal, the Nine-Tails said during one of their Mindscape conversations. The only one who saw me as more than a weapon or a monster. That's worth staying for. Thanks, Kurama, Naruto replied, genuinely moved. You've been a good partner, a good friend. Don't get sappy on me, Kit. I have a reputation to maintain. But the fox's 9 tails were wagging, and Naruto knew he was pleased. 2 years after the war, when Naruto was 18 years old, Kakashi Hatake was named 6th Hokage. The ceremony was held in front of the entire village, with representatives from all allied nations in attendance. It should have been Naruto standing there, accepting the hat and the title and the responsibility, but Naruto had refused again. I'm not meant to be a village leader, he told the council. I'm meant to be free, to wander, to help where I'm needed, not where politics dictates. Kakashi will be a better Hokage than I ever could be. So Kakashi became Hokage, and Naruto became something else entirely. He became the Wandering Guardian, with Sasuke as his companion, because the Uchiha had chosen to travel with Naruto, seeking redemption for his past mistakes and understanding of the world. Naruto left Konoha to visit every village, every nation, every corner of the elemental nations. They helped rebuild war-torn areas, mediated disputes between villages, trained young Jinchūriki in how to coexist with their tailed beasts. And everywhere they went, the story of the great sage spread, not as a legend, not as a myth, but as a living truth. People saw Naruto's golden eyes and knew that divine power walked among them. They watched him settle conflicts without violence, inspire cooperation without coercion, and demonstrate that strength could be used for protection rather than domination. He became a symbol, not of war, but of peace, not of power, but of wisdom, not of isolation, but of connection. The two sages, people called them, Naruto and Sasuke, the great sage and the redeemed avenger, walking the world together and making it better through their presence. 5 years after the war, when Naruto was 21, he returned to Konoha for the first time since leaving. The village had changed, grown, prospered. The Hokage monument now included a new face, Kakashi's, carved into the mountain alongside his predecessors. And beside Kakashi's face, despite his protests and refusal, the village had carved another, Naruto Uzumaki, the great sage equal to heaven. He stood before the monument, looking up at his own stone face, and shook his head with a wry smile. "I told them not to do this," he muttered. "They did it anyway," Sasuke replied, standing beside him. "You saved the world. Twice. You think they were going to just forget that?" "I didn't do it for recognition. That's why they gave it to you." Sasuke's voice was quiet, because you did it for the right reasons, not for glory, not for power, but because it was the right thing to do. Naruto looked at his companion, his friend who'd come so far from the broken, revenge-obsessed child he'd once been. "You've grown," Naruto observed. "So have you, even if you don't age." Sasuke smirked, still 14 on the outside, still ancient on the inside. "That's the price of divine power. I look young forever." Naruto grinned. "Though I could transform myself to an old man if it make you feel better about being mortal." "Don't even think about it." They stood there for a while longer, two companions who'd seen the worst the world had to offer and chosen to make it better. Finally, Naruto spoke. "The journey continues, you know. There's still so much to do, so many places to see, so many people to help." "I know," Sasuke replied. "That's why I'm coming with you. Someone has to make sure you don't accidentally destroy any more historic landmarks." "That was one time!" "You destroyed the Valley of the End. It was strategically necessary." Their banter continued as they walked away from the monument, heading toward the village gates and the wide world beyond. Kurama, watching through Naruto's eyes, rumbled with amusement. "You're never going to settle down, are you, kid?" "Nope," Naruto replied mentally. "That's not who I am, not who I've ever been. I'm son Wukong, the great sage equal to heaven, and the great sage doesn't settle down. He keeps moving, keeps growing, keeps learning. That's what it means to be on an eternal journey." "Eternal, huh?" Kurama's tone was thoughtful. "Think we'll ever reach the end?" "There is no end," Naruto said, and his voice held the wisdom of lifetimes. "The journey is the destination. The growth is the goal. We keep moving forward because that's what living means. And as long as I'm moving forward, as long as I'm helping people and making the world better, I'm exactly where I need to be." They reached the village gates, where Sakura and Kakashi were waiting to see them off. "You're leaving again," Sakura said, and there was sadness in her voice, but also understanding. "I am," Naruto confirmed, "but I'll be back. I always come back. This is my home, after all." "Just try not to destroy any more landmarks while you're gone," Kakashi added with his eye smile. "The village budget can't handle another Valley of the End incident." "No promises," Naruto called back as he and Sasuke walked through the gates. They used the cloud somersault to vanish into the distance, golden mist trailing behind them like a comet's tail. Behind them, carved into the Hokage monument, Naruto's stone face looked out over the village he protected and the world he'd saved. And if visitors to the monument looked closely, they'd see something carved into the stone beneath his face. A message written in script, so small it was almost invisible. The great sage's journey continues, and the heavens themselves smile upon his path. 500 years under a mountain had taught him patience. 7 years as a forgotten child had taught him compassion. A lifetime as Naruto Uzumaki had taught him what it meant to have companions worth protecting. And now, with Sasuke at his side, with Kurama as his partner, with the entire world as his home, son Wukong, the great sage equal to heaven, continued his eternal journey. Not as a conqueror, not as a destroyer, but as a guardian, a teacher, a friend to those who needed one. The monkey who challenged heaven itself had learned the greatest lesson of all. True power isn't about being the strongest. It's about using your strength to protect those who can't protect themselves. And that journey, that eternal, wonderful, challenging journey, would never truly end. Somewhere in the distance, a golden cloud appeared in the sky, carrying 2 companions toward their next adventure. The great sage, equal to heaven, and the last Uchiha, 2 wandering souls forever moving forward, forever free, forever together. The legend continues, the end.
That was a godly transformation for our favorite knucklehead ninja. If you enjoyed this mythological twist on the Naruto-verse, smash that like button and subscribe for more legendary theories. Who should we reimagine next? Drop your ideas below and join the squad for our next anime deep dive.